I don't know about that, but.
I heard.
All right. Good afternoon. Welcome to the West-MEC Governing Board Public Hearing and Regular Board Meeting, May 13th. We have a lot of information to get through today, so trying to keep us on track. All right, so starting off with the public hearing, review of the fiscal year 2025-2026 expenditure. Sir Ryan French.
Thank you, Chairman Ramirez, members of the governing board, Dr. Spurgeon, and West-MEC community. This evening, we're going to go through the May budget revision. This is the last opportunity that the district has to revise its budget in the current fiscal year. According, ASR 15905 provides guidance to school districts on revising expenditure budgets. So that is the rules that we follow on when this happens. If you remember, not myself, I wasn't here yet, but you had seen a proposed budget in June of 25. You then adopted that budget in July of 25. Typically, ADE will look at school districts' budgets in December and tell us if we have to revise or not. West-MEC did not have to revise, and so this is our last opportunity to pick up additional ADM that we received throughout the school year and budget capacity. So I have a couple of slides for us. First, wanted to look at our maintenance and operations adjustments. Good news for the district is from when we adopted our budget in July, we adopted the budget at roughly 9,350 ADM. We went up 140 ADM from that estimate, which netted us about $717,000 in additional budget capacity from the state. In addition to that, we had an increased carry forward from the year prior. So in between the time that we do our budgets, I presented to the board an AFR, our annual financial report, in October. And so that gives us our final expenditures from the year prior. We carried forward an additional $2.1 million based on those final numbers that I was able to carry forward into this budget. Also included increased tuition revenue. So that's going to be our ESA families, anybody that pays tuition to West-MEC. We were able to increase budget capacity by $557,000. So total M&O budget revision is approximately $2.73 million that we are revising up in this budget revision. Just so the board is aware, the budget revision has aligned, we have aligned expenses and distributed budgets in each category as well as the appropriate function. So basically what this is saying is we have moved everything to ensure that we don't have any negative line items at the end of the school year that we would have to reconcile. We take a look at DAA, District Additional Assistance, or capital. We had some highlights. We did increase interest income by $2.5 million. However, when we did our AFR, we had increased actual expenditures out of that fund by $5.5 million. So I had to account for that in this budget revision, which means that we are revising this budget down from $84 million when we adopted in July to $81 million that we're revising now, a difference of $2.47 million. So with this being a public hearing, happy to take questions from the board or the community, and then this item will be brought back during action. Questions?
I don't have any questions about the budget, but for our ESA families and stuff like that, where do we see the ADM for ESAs?
So we don't get ADM for ESA families. They are backpack funded. So the families get funded by ADE. They pay tuition to us, and we set tuition rates for our classes once a year. The governing board approves those. So if they want to take a welding class or advanced manufacturing class, they essentially pay tuition to West-MEC and they attend just like a regular student would.
Do we have any additional questions or comments from the public? No. Well, twice. 3 times? No? Okay. All right, we'll go ahead and conclude the public hearing. Thank you. Okay. Still trying to get used to this new setup here. It's a little confusing. Okay, so. Call for the question discussion, okay, regular meeting. All right, opening items, call to order, we'll call. Okay, I guess next thing here is Pledge of Allegiance and a moment of silence. Please welcome Ms. Esperanza Cleese, Post-Secondary Partnership Manager.
To the flag of the United States of America, to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Here. Can I get a
Do when you retire?
what's that?
Is that what you have to do when you retire? You have to leave the pledge?
Can I get a motion to adopt the agenda as presented? Or record? Okay, second, all right, call the question. Very good, then. Got it.
Yeah, I don't have to do.
So where did it show up? What's it? That's included.
Oh, good, it's not just me.
You got a little pop-up on the left, top right, where it
Says
says
show voting.
show voting, little gray box.
Oh, it says show voting?
Oh, there you go.
Ah. They're not reading.
Yeah.
Right. Oh, there it is. Look at that. All those years of college.
So you should have taken a CTE program.
Yeah.
Okay, motion passes. Thank you. Moving on to summary current of events, we can start off with Dr. Spurgeon.
Thank you, Chairman Ramirez. Just really busy since last we met, so let me just go through a list of some of the great things that have happened. I was able to attend the Arizona State Society Daughters of Revolution marker dedication, where we had 2 of our welders from the Southwest campus who actually cut out with the plasma cutter of the state of Arizona. That's now the new marker for the Daughters of the Revolution in the park just across from the legislature building. So it was a great ceremony there. Was able to attend the Phoenix Mayor State of the City Address and luncheon, which she gave some good information. And all I can tell you is, I tell you what, our future is so bright, you gotta wear shades. There's a lot of great things happening around our entire Phoenix area. I did several interviews. Did an interview with KJZZ on the new Northeast Campus Clean Room. Again, that's the first and only one of its kind in the country. I finished up the end of the year videos for our school district, and I do those several times a year to thank those students for their great efforts and their great recognitions as they move on. Did an interview with a Taiwan television news station, and I'm hoping to see that coming out pretty quick about the new Northeast Campus Clean Room. And we had a really cool project at our Northwest campus. It was a student project done by Power Sports and our IT security folks. And they took a golf cart that was really kind of labeled as a Luke Air Force Base, kind of designed that way, from the city of Surprise. And we decked it out and gave it to Ottawa University. So that was a dedication ceremony of the new golf cart that they gave. And I believe it's being used by their security personnel on the Ottawa campus. So it was a great piece for the media to be able to see. And then we had an ADE celebration of career and technical education and the great things that are happening in Arizona. We had one of our students from 2020 or 2022, the auto body student that was recognized. So great ceremony with Superintendent Orn and his folks that were there, which was fantastic. We also had a City of Phoenix Outstanding Youth Leader Award winner. So I attended that luncheon as well. One of our students was given the Outstanding Youth Leader Award there at that luncheon. So that was a fantastic opportunity for our students. And I did a number of tours. We did a tour with GCon Construction of our Southeast campus. GPEC has an anonymous company coming in. They've been to 2 of our campuses now, looking in the area of Goodyear, I believe, coming in. We gave tours of the Canyon School District out of Utah, Shawnee Mission School District out of Kansas, Global Ties, an international leadership program. And we had these individuals were from Angola, Brazil, Israel, Jordan, Mauritius, Mexico, Morocco, Paraguay, Poland, Spain, Thailand, United Kingdom, Venezuela, and Zambia. So they were here with a leadership exchange program.
How did we find out
Yeah,
about West?
how did they get the information about us?
The individual that leads the Global Ties, I met her through the Director of Economic Development for Glendale. And she put us 2 together and put an email together, and it just came that they had a group coming in. And she said, you really need to come to see West-MEC. And so their team came, and their focus really was all about energy. So they're looking for energy opportunities for workforce and things like that. So they toured our Southwest campus. And what was really nice is at the end of that conversation, one of the individuals stopped by and he said, I've seen CT programs across the world from Mexico to Germany. And he said that you are by far above and beyond what I've seen physically in any place that I've gone. So that was a great testament to the great work that we're doing. So just a great opportunity there. We had Sun Valley Builders did a tour of the Southeast campus. We also had the Department of Public Safety toured and had a meeting at our Central campus. We had Richmond, Virginia that actually came for a panel discussion with EMCC and the Southwest Campus Partnership with the Community College. Did a tour with Jason Chapman, who I met through the Glendale Business Over Breakfast, who owns his own electrical company, who's now interested in getting on board and looking for some of our electrical students to create that partnership as well. And then we toured a group of DLR architects from New York to from Los Angeles, from all over the country coming in to look at our new Southeast campus, where they're doing work in the Virgin Islands for a new CT program there. So they're trying to get some ideas about how to help the folks in the Virgin Islands. We had a number of several project meetings for our projects that are ongoing right now. Won't list all those. And I attended several chamber and board meeting events for throughout the county. The last thing I'll mention, last thing I'll mention on meetings is I got a chance to meet over the Zoom with Dr. Henry Mack, who's the Assistant Secretary of the U.S. Department of Labor. And so we got a chance to give a West-MEC overview and project update and what we do and how we do things. So it's been about 40 minutes with him and one of his individual membership folks, and just a great conversation. So I'm hoping to try to get him out here and maybe some other folks from the Department of Labor to get out here, because we should be the model for CTE across the country. And so just a great conversation.
Wow, is that through,
It was actually through Jeff Klondel, who is with Roots Education, which provided the clean tech room of the Northeast campus and for the Southeast campus. They know each other really well. And so he said, I happen to know this person, you would be a good person to talk to. So he put it together and we put a Zoom together. So we got a chance to talk through that for about 40 minutes, which was fantastic. So I'm hoping to get more individuals, state legislators and things like that out to our campuses. That always helps us in times of when they're looking at statutes, money and different things like that. So if you know of anyone, that would be great to get. Last thing I'll mention is I had Sherry give each of you just kind of a hard copy of all the things that are coming up over the next week, 10 days for all the recognition. First thing you'll see is the incredible project search recognition that comes in next Thursday, May 21st at the Glendale Renaissance at 4:30. So don't forget about that. We'd love to have you. Just a phenomenal celebration of our leaders doing their great work. And then starting on May 21st, we've got the Central Campus recognition ceremonies. You see the dates there. And the times, again, that's at Central back professional development room. We typically have that. And then on the back side of that, you see the 2 full days we have, Thursday and Friday, May 28th and 29th for our recognition ceremonies. But let me give you some advice. We're trying to expedite our recognition ceremonies. And so we're just asking for, if you're going to be at the meeting, maybe just one board member's up at a time to shake hands. Just kind of pick your programs that you want to and have one person up, because I'm not shaking any hands. Because we have so many kids. And remember the last couple of years, we've had a long, I mean, it's been like 10 or 12 people and it just takes too long.
Yeah.
So we're just asking if somebody's gonna give a speech, we'll get one.
Everybody a hug.
And we're just asking, and board members don't have to speak. We don't have to have any speeches if you don't want to, but if you want to, we'll do one per recognition. And then if you want to shake the students of the medical assistant and then be the board member that stands up and you can shake all their hands. If you want to do welding, do welding. If you want to do advanced manufacturing, but it's going to expedite things because right now we're getting so large that it's
Yeah.
almost hard to stay within the time frame that we're doing it. And so we're just asking that be considerate of being able to get those things done. So a lot of great things are
Is
happening.
there something else we can do instead of shake hands or, I mean,
Probably come a little bit early because the students are there very early. So you get a chance to talk to several students and families while they're just kind of, because they're probably there 15, 20 minutes. There's a lot of congregation in that front area. And you get a chance to talk to as many folks and families as you want to. I mean, they're all over the place. And then if you want to stay a little bit afterwards, after each ceremony, if you just make your way to the back of the auditorium and you hang out right there, most families stay there for a good 10 or 15 minutes. So you can mingle and mix and talk to all kinds of students and families. Yes. I'm sorry.
I can still remember, I'm not that old, but I can still remember. Yes, you are. Not wanting another old guy to get up there and talk when I'm trying to get out and be done. So.
But just color your hair and make you look loud.
That's why I've shortened my speech down to just a couple paragraphs because they're not there to see me or hear me. It's just, it's be good for me to say congratulations, well done, class of 2026, and then we kind of move on because kids are there, families are there, they want to see their kids walk across stage, so.
Yeah, I know we talked about this in the past about doing it all at one shot. Is there any interest in that at all or?
But it's gonna be costly, so we don't want to take them back to State Farm Stadium because that's where they typically graduate from their own high schools. So a second experience wouldn't be good there. Desert Diamond is really pretty expensive, probably $50 or $60,000. Then you gotta pay for parking as well. So at some point in time, we're gonna be at a place where we're gonna have to make a decision to go outside and maybe do it all at one time, but it's gonna take
As
some
we
money to
get
do it.
bigger and expand, we're gonna have even more dates.
Yes.
By doing these, so
Or we do one,
looking at
a
it,
couple of large ones.
looking at it down the hill a little bit.
Well, that may be something that we may want to encourage some of our industry partners to contribute to.
We got pretty full days.
So the other thing I might mention is that our West-MEC Alliance is looking to hire a new executive director, and we've needed one to really lead that organization because we should be raising $1 million a year through the alliance, no problem about it. So I think that job description is out, the posting is out, and so I think they've got some applicants coming in. So we're hoping maybe if they continue to raise some more money, it might be a nice ask for us, even if it was just half of the money for graduation or a sponsorship of some kind to be able to do that. So there's lots of ways to skin a cat, so just stay with me. We'll
Excellent.
figure it out.
Thank you.
Yeah, thanks, sir.
All right, moving on to the governing board. Any brief updates, Mr. Sainz?
No.
No? Okay.
I hear about my doctor's appointments.
Oh, good. No.
yeah, well, I was pretty busy. On April 16th, I attended the Southwest campus for the water systems mock interviews. And all the employers were impressed with our students. In fact, they said they would even hire our high school juniors if they could. And so the city of Buckeye, Palo Verde, Peoria, Surprise, and Tellison were all there. But every time I go to a mock interview, it's always good stuff. Then later that evening, I attended the National Technical Honors Society, where our top performing students are recognized and inducted into an exclusive society that honors excellence, leadership, and achievement in technical education. And then on April 17th and 18th, I attended the Maricopa County Superintendent's Governing Board training. And I encourage all of you, I think they're going to have them like twice a year. It was the best training I've ever been to. They had so many speakers, talked on every subject there possibly was. One of the things that I kind of honed in on was on the budget and stuff like that, how to provide a clear, transparent budget reporting so that, members can make informed decisions regarding the budget and stuff like that. So I met with both Ryan and with Juan to talk about creating a report that defines our budget plans and our expenditures for the M&O, capital funds, bond building, and classroom site funds that includes year-to-date and monthly expenditures. So it's in the works, and we'll see how long it takes, but it's, you know, I feel really comfortable with all that. And then on April 28th, we had the Agua Fria Career Academy air conditioning and electrical mock interviews. And it was said, when I would talk to the employers there, they said that our students are so confident that they interview better than most adults. And that just tickled me. So yeah, they're just impressed with the caliber of our students, and they want to hire them. So some of our students, our employers want to see students highlight certain systems and skills that they've learned that they really are excelled in on their resumes. So we might want to, you know, kind of look at that. And then another area of improvement was that the students, when they should really research each company before they do a mock interview, so they know everything there is to know about that company. And it just demonstrates their excitement of wanting to be part of that team, the employer's team. Let's see here. Yeah, some of the electrical employers that were there was Faith Technologies, and last year they hired 15 of our West-MEC students, and they were there to hire more. Desert Mountain Country Club, that was their first time giving a mock interview. Russell Siegler was there, APS, and US Army National Guard was there. Arizona Air Conditioning and Heating Ventilation was there. And then I guess they hired a student from last year, and they had their eye on one of the students from this year. And then one of the gals from Dover Foods Retail, I guess she's been with West-MEC for a while. And she was talking about donating a rack to the HVAC system that's worth $100,000 to the Agua Fria campus. And she's got another one that she's going to be donating to one of our Peoria campuses. So I thought that was amazing. And she also expressed, you know, as far as HVAC, she expressed an urgency to teach the CO2 technology. And I know that's, you know, probably more in depth than where we're at, but if we can start introducing so that the kids, you know, they know a little bit more about it, because that's the wave of the future.
So let me tell you real quick. So we're taking that program to a 2-year program and adding commercial refrigeration to it.
Okay.
Agua Fria will be the first one that goes to 2 years, and then next year, the Northeast campus will go to the second year, doing exactly.
Awesome. Awesome. Yeah, and she said, you know, to marry the electrical with the HVAC, because HVAC is the wave of the future. Electrical is the wave of the future, because it, you know, helps to diagnose all the HVAC systems for the newer ones, at least like 50 to 80% of them. So that's, you know. And then May 4th, I met with Dr. Spurgeon and Kathy Mays and Ryan for lunch, and we had a very productive meeting. And then on May 6th, I attended the National Career Sighting Day. And that was pretty cool. We had the students that were hired by the employers and following their mock interviews. And that's it.
Beautiful.
Yeah, I went fair at Northeast Campus. And I had been there at an advisory committee, and they were planning this fair. So I wanted to see how it turned out, because they were concerned about getting the kids to their program, you know, so they could look at hiring. And they were concerned because all the kids would go to that one person, the one that wrapped cars. And he didn't show up, so they didn't have that competition.
Everybody.
So it was good. That's all.
Good, good. Mr. Straka?
Yes, can you hear me?
Yes.
Yep. Hey, I just I think the thing I'll shout out is our signing day event. I think there were three or four of us there. I just want to congratulate the staff. They put that together rather quickly. It was, you know, I brought it back in January. They put that together and had a lot of positive, I feel it was a lot of positive reactions. We got to meet some of the employers that are hiring 7 and 9 of our kids. And so it was just really good. I just want to say really good job of the staff, and thank you for putting that together.
So Renita?
Well, I attended the signing day as well and agreed, you know, they very well presented students that signed their offer letters that day. And I think that's a neat little program. You know, you see all the athletes having their signing day for college and all that kind of stuff. But this is giving them a career. They're actually going to work. So that's kind of neat. I also attended a mock interview session, Northeast Campus. And all the students that I sat through interviews with, or that interviewed with me, presented extremely well. One in particular caught my eye because when I asked him about his 4.0 grade point average at West-MEC, he pointed out that was skilled proficiency grade point average, as opposed to an arbitrary 4.0 that he might get at his high school. So commending to all you instructors and administrators, because that's the kind of thing that we want to see everywhere, is skill mastery, as opposed to simply taking a test and being given a grade. So again, thank you.
Thanks. Yeah, I was also at that signing day. I think it's a great start. It was fun. And I enjoyed talking to the business partners and hearing from them directly what they think of our programs and their experience with their students. So that was enlightening. Yeah, it was encouraging. So enjoyed that definitely. And also I've noticed lately a lot of activity on our social media. I like that we've been highlighting a lot of these events. The students, the programs, the graduations, the ceremonies. It's just great to see all that activity online. So, all right, and congratulations also on the signing day and all the activity online. Next item, information discussion. Ms. Megan Mills, Assistant Superintendent for Strategic Partnerships.
Well, don't skip over the public participation.
That's right. That's right. Call to the public. Sorry. Do we have anyone from the public speaking?
Never mind.
No.
More public.
Second call.
Speak up.
Third call. Okay, hearing none. Ms. Megan Mills, welcome back.
Good evening, Chairman Ramirez, governing board members, Dr. Spurgeon, and our community. Tonight, we're going to be celebrating and honoring Speranza Cleese. She's part of the strategic partnership teams, but she has certainly created a legacy here at West-MEC, serving our team for decades. And tonight, I'm going to read to you about Speranza's career here. Just to give you a heads up, last month you did approve her retirement, so she is moving on to the next chapter of her life. So this recognition of her as Employee of the Month comes in really good timing. I will say my team has 7 other really exceptional women as well, and they all came forward with Speranza's name at the top in terms of nominating a colleague who's worthy of this award. And so I'd like to share with you some of the kudos that she deserves. Speranza Cleese serves as the post-secondary partnerships manager at West-MEC, where she plays a critical role in building and sustaining strategic partnerships with colleges, universities, and post-secondary training providers. Her work focuses on expanding seamless pathways for West-MEC students, ensuring that program completion translates into meaningful next step opportunities in higher education and the workforce. In this role, she leads the efforts to strengthen articulation agreements, dual enrollment alignment, and higher education partnerships that support student transition beyond high school programs. She collaborates closely with internal instructional teams, counseling staff, and educational partners to ensure students are informed of and connected to post-secondary options that align with their career goals. Speranza also supports data-informed decision-making by helping track post-secondary placement outcomes and identifying opportunities to improve student access and participation in continuing education pathways. Her role often includes facilitating partner engagement sessions to ensure West-MEC programs remained aligned with evolving post-secondary expectations and workforce needs. Through Speranta's leadership, she helps ensure that students are not only completing programs, but are also positioned for long-term success through clearly defined and accessible educational pathways. She is known for her strategic thinking and ability to translate vision into actionable steps. Speranta is also widely respected for her leadership and collaborative approach across programs and stakeholders. Her contributions have supported the development of meaningful systems and partnerships that improve student access to higher education and workforce opportunities. So in recognition of her strong performance, collaboration, impact across teams, Speranto is chosen by myself and her colleagues as Employee of the Month, underscoring the respect she has earned and the value she has consistently brought to West-MEC's mission.
Thank you so much. I hadn't read this comment, so they're just very humbling from my esteemed colleagues and Assistant Superintendent Mills. Dr. Spurgeon states, it's a great day to be at West-MEC. For me, it's really a great day every day because this is my why. This is why I get up every morning and come to work. We all know the cost of college and how this is one of the biggest concerns of families and of students. So I get to do this work. I get to shorten their pathway, save them time and money by having them start all of this while in high school. And you have received the reports and the data over the years. So you all know that the majority of our students do in fact enroll in post-secondary pathways after they complete West-MEC. So this is what guides me. Our percentage of students enrolling in post-secondary pathways currently is 65%, but it varies from year to year. It's much higher than the state average for the state of Arizona. So we are doing college and career preparation exceptionally well here at West-MEC. And we're just so grateful and so rewarded by what I get to do every single day. So the students have guided me with their desire to grow their careers and their education. And also I want to recognize Superintendent Spurgeon because at times I've had struggles like all of us in work, and partnerships don't always come easily. So when I've shared my struggles with him, he has said to me, it's worth it. Even if we get the students to accomplish one credit while they're in high school, that's the difference, he told me, between a good life and a great life for a student. And that has been so guiding for me. So I really thank you for that guidance, because it's true. Here at West-MEC, we believe that success leads to success. And it's true. So when the students begin this pathways while in high school, they feel so confident in their ability to continue. And we have the data that tell us that the students do in fact continue and graduate from whether it's an apprenticeship or an associate degree or a bachelor degree or higher. And this is the work that we do. And I'm very fortunate to have done this work for a number of years now. So thank you for everything that your support and your guidance.
So when I first took over in 2022, our students had earned just over 5,500 college credits or PLA credits. And last year we put 15,499.
15,000 from
499.
22.
5,500 last year was 15,499.
300%.
It's Ron Lee's work.
slide up.
This man, he just knows all my numbers. I'll have memorized. But he asked.
Right, you want to set up the side up?
Come on, your chair come down here pretty good.
Okay.
All right. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. Congratulations, Pronta. Well deserved.
Oh, I have.
Yeah. It's just got plans.
You feel like I'm at work, why leave? Flowers to boot, all right.
Thank you for your service, Miranda.
All right.
So next, Marilyn Babby, our Executive Director for Student Services.
Well, good evening, Chairman Rivera, Superintendent Spurgeon, and friends and neighbors. I am super excited to be up here today to introduce you. If you have not met Brian White and his lovely wife Nicole, today is the day. So, you know, one of the things that we've been doing in student services for some years is helping students with registration fees through different kinds of grants and donations. And we get them from a wide variety of places. Brian, as you know, works for Buckeye right now, but prior to that, he was our own employee as a career coach here at West-MEC at the Southwest campus, then moved on to Buckeye, but all along he has been and is the pastor of Citadel Church in Buckeye, who actually celebrates weekly in our Southwest campus, besides the Glendale campus as well. So Brian came to me, excuse me, I have a little cold. Brian came to me 4 years ago and said, Marilyn, our church has been talking about wanting to support African-American students. And we are taking this on because we know that sometimes our families are not doing what we feel they should be doing for kids. So we're going to start a Martin Luther King breakfast, and the proceeds to that breakfast is going to go to students to pay for their registration fee to be in a West-MEC Central program at the Southwest campus, and now when there's money for the Northwest campus as well. So over the past 4 years, Brian and his church have raised over $40,000 for the students that they have really taken to that higher level. And the students then are so appreciative. They write these wonderful thank you notes that I share with them. And they give them, the Citadel Church actually provides the whole $150 for the programs, or puts $150 towards a program that has a little bit of a higher piece of, registration fee. So I'm here just to recognize them for what they did, what they've done for the community, how their church has come along with it. But when you go to the Martin Luther King breakfast, which we will invite you all to in the future, they just take that day and they celebrate with guest speakers, and then they celebrate the students. So every year we have 1 or 2 students that are able to share with the church what that registration grant meant to them. So I just really want to recognize Brian, Nicole, Teddy, who wasn't here today, who really is kind of the mastermind behind the planning of that day. And just to let you know that there are all sorts of people that are behind the scenes making sure that our students succeed. And Citadel Church is just one of those places that does it. So please meet Brian and Nicole.
Oh, you give it back.
It's just an honor. Even being post as an employee, it is something that I always wanted to be able to do to ensure that students have a faster way forward. And so our ability as a church, as a community, to be a small piece to help in that is something that we have enjoyed doing and something that we'll continue to enjoy doing. We start the process earlier in the year. We have several events throughout the year as a ministry that goes where we have all of the proceeds go towards the scholarship. So we're getting ready for our men's chicken and waffle breakfast. And so the proceeds go for that. And my wife does a women's tea a little bit later on in the year. And then we culminate everything at the beginning of the year at the MLK breakfast. And so, of course, we'd love to have you there. It's a great opportunity to see our community come together, especially in Buckeye. and now also in our Peoria location as well, to be able to see students advance, and may have a future that they may not have had in the past. And again, our ability to help and do that part, any small part that we can do, we're always here to help.
See, we missed breakfast this year, didn't we? Where's your location? You're a month too late.
We are just a couple of miles down the road on Peoria Avenue, right off of the 101 freeway. Oh, so we drive by.
Our new campus.
Yes, we drive by it every Sunday and see the progress. So.
We have studies on both campuses.
Yeah.
So I just really wanted to, every once in a while, I bring someone out. We had Kiwanis out some years ago, but I couldn't not bring Brian and Nicole out.
Yeah.
We really thank them, and the kids are really appreciative. And I will tell you from there, Kathy Mays and is it the Deltas? The sisters, they came coming up to me as well, saying we'd like to give some of that money too. So it just keeps coming from different places. One of my favorite days since I've been at West-MEC is when they invited me to church that day, and I got to worship with Brian and his church and receive a check that day. That was really a great day as well.
That's a good day.
I'm going to an inspiring service. Yeah, I get a check. But thank you, I just.
So Brian, thank you and your wife, and please communicate our thanks to your Citadel Church for your generosity, and we really appreciate it. And thanks for staying in touch with West-MEC. That's great. Yeah, that's awesome. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you very much.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Good evening, Chairman,
Mr. Jerry Guy.
the board, Dr. Spurgeon. Excited to round out quickly our celebrations here this evening. Just officially announced within the last few weeks, ACTE AZ has announced their state award winners for the year. These folks will be officially recognized at the summer conference down in Tucson with the big show and get the awards. But we wanted to recognize them tonight now that they've been announced by ACTE. So Paul Getz from our Southwest campus will be recognized as Teacher of the Year. Denise Saldamondo at our Southwest campus as well with the Counseling and Career Development Award. Cindy Shaw works here in our Student Services team here at the district office. Will be recognized for Outstanding CT Administrative Professional. And then Brandice Garza and Brad Whitaker are both being recognized as a quality affiliate for affiliates supporting the affiliate organizations of ACTE that they're a part of. So as you guys that have been down to the summer conference, there's not a lot of awards that ACTE gives out. And so West-MEC is well represented throughout the state with these awards once again this year. So we wanted to recognize them tonight. And again, the grand celebration will be down in Tucson if you're down there to be able to cheer them on. Next, we wanted to, quickly, and I won't go through all of these names, but the Arizona CTE Curriculum Connection is an organization, it's a consortium of individuals that come together throughout the state of actual CTE educators that come together to build curriculum and resources that then everyone gets access to. So it's really a shared resource of created materials. And then those members that are part of this connection get access to them. So tremendous resource for especially new teachers throughout our satellite districts, as well as our central program teachers to be able to have access to this curriculum and resources. And so recently the Curriculum Connection celebrated it recognized West-MEC staff that were directly a part of particular days where they come together to actually create curriculum or contribute resources that go back into the Curriculum Connection. And so two of our Southwest campus teacher, as well as Ted Soja at our new Career Academy, as well as their administrators and Dr. Jaime and our CNI team were recognized for supporting those teachers to be able to participate in these events. Also, I will not go through all these names, but Our member districts are also very well represented and participate in these events that are partnered with ADE and form the curriculum maps that also contribute to the assessments that ADE gives for their TSAs at the end of the year as well. So you can see our member districts who we support as members of the Curriculum Connection through our partnership with them and West-MEC have participated as well. So we just wanted to publicly recognize this is a great resource for us to be a part of and to contribute to as professionals, and teachers in both our satellites and our central programs are really going above and beyond to contribute to better CTE and high quality CTE across the state. Thank you.
Thanks. Up next, we have Glendale Union High School District CTE update. Ms. Tracy Mayfield, CTE Director.
Good evening, Chairman Ramirez, governing board members, Dr. Spurgeon. I was asked if had a group with me. Nope, you get me. I'm the CTE Director. This is year 2 in the position, but it's lovely to see everyone again. I just want to start by saying thank you to the governing board for this opportunity to kind of share what's going on in our district. We appreciate the partnership that we have with West-MEC. And I think what we'll share tonight will reflect that. A lot has happened in my 2 years as director, and so I thought I'd share that with you. But I'm going to start really from what's going on in terms of initiatives district-wide, because I think you might notice a trend with it. Just to remind you who we are, Glendale Union is 9 comprehensive high schools, and we also have a online program that works in a couple different ways. We have, I got to get this right because this is May 1st numbers. We currently have 14,623 students in our district, all high school kiddos. Of those kids, as of now, 2/3 of them have taken at least one CTE course on our campuses, so as part of the satellite program. We have 21 different CTE programs that we offer within our district. One of the areas that we really focused on in the last 2 years is the idea of developing a portrait of a graduate. And so this, in fact, was launched at the start of last year. As you know, many districts have a portrait of a graduate. We really wanted to take a look at what our students looked like as they crossed that graduation stage. And so really came up with some of the skills that we think are important as we prepare them to be the whole person and ready for college, career, and life. It's really been our North Star as we do other planning within the district. And so I consider this to be the promise we're making to our shared community. In addition to building the portrait of a graduate, we really, I got a little loud. If you've met me more than once, you might know that I am that person. And so I started really talking about, hey, if we're building this portrait for a graduate, what's at the center of it? And it's really preparing them for their careers. And so we went through all elective courses, brought the world languages, brought the fine arts into the fold, and really tried organizing them so that all classes are looked through the lens of how this is going to help a student beyond our doors. So it's not a small lift when you have these conversations outside of CTE. And it's really developed some interesting conversations as we think about connecting all courses to life after graduation. And so that's the point, right? Is that career development and career exploration and teaching kids skills that they need for their careers can't just happen in isolation. They can't happen in the silos of CTE courses. We really need to have those conversations in everybody's classroom. I guess it's always good to talk about work-based learning when Robert's here, right? We really wanted to look back at work-based learning, and as a product of the district, I remember the internship days of the 90s, and we had classes that were really focused on you'd be there in the morning and you were working in an office in the afternoon. That faded over years as we really had focused on college and preparing kids for college. Again, I'd sit in the corner of the building, and go, hey, CTE, we're doing cool stuff. How can we do that in all areas? And so work-based learning was also part of that conversation. And so we really asked the simple question, what does work-based learning look like for different students and different programs at different stages of their education? Because a sophomore exploring health careers has different needs than a senior completing an internship with a local employer. And we know that work-based learning isn't one thing, it's all sorts of things, and how can we build upon that in all areas? And so we have English teachers in our district now speaking to how they are part of the work-based learning puzzle. It's, again, not something that's just happening within our CTE classrooms. So that's where we're at, but now let's talk about the fun stuff, how CTE has been really moving forward. I want to take a moment to, of course, thank West-MEC for financial support, because we get to do cool things with that financial support. And my favorite thing is CTSO Officer Camp. We had year 3 CTSO Officer Camp this year. It was our largest camp to date. Let's see if I've got the number. It looks like we had 126 kids there. Wow. From all 9 campuses. That does not encompass all our CTSO officers across our district. Those who can't make the scheduling for camp work do their officer training here with the opportunities out of the PD department here at West-MEC. But really it's different kids from different schools, different programs, different backgrounds, and they kind of leave as a united leadership community. I do think that our focus on really building good CTSO officers has made a difference. We just this last spring at state competitions had 3 students elected as state office CTSO officers. In Glendale Union, this is year 24 for me. I can't remember a time that we've ever had 3 students as state officers. So I think that the support for our advisors as they're working with these kids is making a difference. And it's really just fun to see kids make s'mores for the first time ever. There's some small victories for Tracy as well. Over the last couple of years, we've also made some investments in our physical learning spaces. And a lot of the decisions that we made in terms of construction projects did come as a result of the TQI process that West-MEC has, where they come and they evaluate our programs. So really, as I moved into the position, that's the data that I looked at to figure out how we would improve spaces. If you have been past Sunny Slope High School anytime recently, you will know that it does not look like the building from the 50s. That building is gone, and so a lot of investment was made in the academic spaces. And we knew that some money and time was needed to improve those other spaces as well. So for Sunny Slope construction, we created a really good outdoor space for them, tore down some walls, unfortunately tore down a really beautiful tree as well, but created a lot of indoor-outdoor workspace for the construction and the engineering programs share together. It's created a lot of cool collaboration between the two. In addition, the Sunny Slope Film and TV classroom and studio had to maneuver where they were at. And so we do now have a state-of-the-art control room and studio and classroom for that film and TV program. Sunny Slope Marketing, which was right next door, also got a new classroom, and then we completely remodeled the school store. As of next week, we will start tearing down some walls at Apollo Film and TV. Apollo Film and TV is our second largest film and TV program in our district. We actually offer film and TV at all 9 of our high schools. So Sunny Slope was the biggest. Apollo is the second largest. So you can kind of see where some of my logic went in on that. And they're getting a new studio and classroom space. Cortez Construction is going to get some outdoor workspace that looks very similar to what happened over at Sunny Slope. So we're creating some great workspaces for them. Also prevents me from tripping over cords as I go and visit. So really good things for kids. And then kind of the very strange one, we have one law enforcement program And that's at Washington High School. And we have a brand new instructor who's working pretty closely with DPS. And he's like, hey, what if we build a police academy style obstacle course? And I was like, oh, cool. All right, let's keep talking. It does look like it's going to be a space that's utilized by our JROTC programs, our fire service programs, as well as law enforcement. But that we'll start construction on that in the fall. We're in the blueprint stages of that right now. It's fun talking about how we spend money, right? But it's just a matter of just upping our game a little bit. We, of course, if you have older schools, and so just always looking to remodel and trying to plan that out for the next 5 years on where we are. Our final update brings us to one that I'm excited about, and I know you guys are as well with your similar partnerships, but we are adding automation and robotics at 2 of our high schools. It's going to happen at Moon Valley High School and Greenway High School. Both are pretty close to the I-17 corridor, which makes sense when you see the letters TSMC Arizona, right? We evaluated what was going on in the engineering programs at those 2 campuses. If you look at the standards for an engineering program, they're very theoretical. And that wasn't necessarily serving our students well as they're preparing for life after high school. And so as in recognition of all the semiconductor positions that are coming, especially in the North Valley, we struck up a conversation with TSMC. They shared their, as they have with many districts, shared their ideas and curriculum for what it takes to be an equipment technician. And that's where we're starting. So we will have it on 2 of our campuses, and we're very excited about the opportunities for our kids there. I'm like trying to think if we've got anything else. I think that's it. So, pardon? That's all. So, Chairman Ramirez, Governing Board, I'm really happy to answer any questions if you have any.
Yeah, so out of the new investments that you're making in the school, are those do you anticipate, like for the robotics course, do you anticipate a lot of student interest in those courses at those schools?
Yeah, when I talk to people about what makes a successful program, 90% of the time I wouldn't say it's necessarily like the curriculum in it, but I still strongly believe, and it's one of our core values at Glendale Union, that teachers make the difference. And so you can have a really great teacher, teaching almost anything and kids are drawn to it. However, you start putting some robots out on the quad during lunchtime and you have some very excited kids. And so as we have been recruiting for the program, that's exactly what we've done. And it seems like robots sell.
Did you guys get a dog?
We did not get a dog. Starting programs like this are a little pricey, and so we are doing it in waves. And so order number 1 did not include a dog. We will see what comes next.
Humanoid come in the fall.
That's right.
Yeah.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Are students from other campuses able to go to Greenway or Apollo?
Moon Valley.
Moon Valley.
Yes. In fact, we have that about all of our programs, that if you're on another campus, and we try to work with your schedule. The 2 programs that we have it probably articulated the most are our welding and our nursing. They were set up from the get-go to do exactly that. It sometimes takes a little extra finesse to do it in our other programs, but we do in fact make it work for kids.
So do you provide the transportation for the kids to get from one high school to another?
The only one that we provide transportation for is nursing. The other programs we do not.
Wondering, is anyone in the district doing like a video blog, like writing, editing, producing something like a short 15-minute video every morning or once a week?
Regarding
Anything like district news or anything the students are interested in.
Yeah, so the closest to an ongoing video blog, our kids do daily announcements and videos that way through their individual programs, but yeah, it's not one district wide.
Oh, okay. Be interesting to see something being produced by the students.
Yeah, they produce their videos every single day that get broadcast campus wide. And then, you know, they also produce items that go into the Rocky Mountain Emmy, see if I can get it right, the Rocky Mountain Emmy. There's more letters to that one, but there's a lot of different, and in fact, District Drive, we also host our own film festival for all those students. So there's a lot of videos being made.
All right. Thank you.
Transportation, are the kids able to get from one high school to another on their own, or?
In most cases, yeah.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Well,
Thank you. Any other questions?
So, just Mr.
Yeah, Mr.
Ramirez,
Sharkey.
just real quick, why nursing but not other programs? For
Nursing, mostly nursing, both nursing and welding are taught as block programs. And so that makes it much easier to have students come from other campuses versus a 55-minute one section class. So it was set up from the get-go to only be housed at Moon Valley. It's a large, pricier program. And then we keep it full as we draw from all 9 campuses.
Thanks.
Thank you.
thanks, Tracy.
Student services update, Ms. Marilyn Babiar.
Good evening again. I'm starting out and ending this presentation. Oh, Dr. Spurgeon, don't leave yet, because smile, right? So Dr. Spurgeon came to me one day and said, I just did this really cool thing with AI, and I took everything that I wanted, I gave it a prompt and did all of the updates, and it came out with this. And I said, well, can I do that too? He said, sure, send me a prompt. So I sent him a student services prompt, and it gave me pages and pages and pages of the good things that we have done throughout the year. But I kind of condensed it into an opening statement and a closing statement, and then all the good things that are going to come in between. So the beginning of this says, the analysis of the 25-26 school year reveals that West-MEC student services and satellite school counselors are indispensable to the district's faster way forward. Their impact is multifaceted, encompassing record-breaking recruitment, sophisticated student support systems, and deep-seated industry and post-secondary alignment. Through mechanisms like MTSS, discovery meetings, and the counselor grant program, these professionals have ensured that district's rapid growth is matched by a corresponding commitment to individualized student success. So that's the beginning of my presentation. The end will come. It's each that. So I'm going to go through the different areas that student services encompasses. So everything is short and sweet. Other people come throughout the year to talk more about their programs. Shelley Tom, for example, will come and talk about Project Search. I know it's just a pet project for many of you. So just some really good data about our Project Search, that 85% of our students are employed, and over a 3-year employment rate, we're at 78%. And that is higher than anyone in the state. And you see that when you come out. Shelley will continue to talk and brag about that as she comes through, but we just really wanted you to see that information. Moving from there, I wanted to talk about our campus counselors. And we are growing every day, right? We have 7 campus counselors, 2 partner programs, but they were campus counselors as well this year because they really started the Career Academy for us. And we just hired 2 new campus counselors for next year, one for the Career Academy and one for, Chris Guy moved over to our Southeast campus, so we hired a new counselor at Northwest. We also have 4 professional school counselors at the district office, myself included, Shelley Tom, April Tyrell, and Veronica Cleese. So I love that West-MEC values that we hire professional school counselors to do the work, and it does make a difference for our students. But our campus counselors specifically are really following this ASCA model that we talked about, but this year we wanted to talk about collaboration and what they do with this community of growth, that they do these culture presentations, they do individual discovery meetings with families, students, and their parents. They work tirelessly in the area of dual enrollment and PLA. They are part of the MTSS team, the multi-tiered systems of support team that takes care of our students when they are coming up against something that is causing them a disruption to their education. But they also do things in collaboration with campus events, open houses, follow your arrow, the recognition ceremony. Those are just some of the things that those campus counselors do in collaboration. This year, we really started focusing in on committee work. And some of our committees have been with Focus, Prepare, Counselor Evaluation. We have a new evaluation for our counselors, an enrollment committee, student handbook, our regional and demand committee, and staff training. So besides what they're doing on their own campus, they're coming to the district office and participating because they are so valued in what they do. Probably one of the biggest things. Excuse me. One of the biggest things that they do is enrollment. So we talk about how it starts in October with kids applying. But once all of those students are allocated, the enrollment takes place on the campus. And the counselor is really the leader of that program. So they are leading that late applications, filling seats, enrolling students in their second and third choices. So I know there have been some questions and we'll show you some numbers a little bit later. But the students that get in our program, it's done by many hands, but the counselors on those campuses are leading that enrollment process, and I'm really appreciative of that. Other areas that are part of that campus is this ESS teacher liaison piece. We currently have 2 teacher liaisons. Excuse me. And hiring a 3rd person. Shelley, could you come up and speak to this for a minute?
Whisper.
Yes.
So thank you very much for letting me speak about exceptional student services. It is really our goal to support all students in their faster way forward. And students with disabilities sometimes have different barriers to reaching that same goal. And so our ESS teacher liaisons are teacher certified special education teachers that actually they're teacher focused. So they work with our staff to help implement those accommodations. And so they are masters at those accommodations. They're integrated into our classrooms in so many ways. They walk through every classroom for every teacher every single week to make sure they're observing, seeing how we're implementing accommodations, meeting requirements by law for all those accommodations in place. And they're providing support for differentiation. But one of the big things that we really appreciate is we've created a system in West-MEC that I've sat through 3 of them today for bridging meetings, which we created, but hearing the schools talk about bridging meetings and how positive they are, what a difference it makes and how it's helping on their campus is huge. So we get to verify every single student that comes, determine if they have any accommodations that they need. And then we have a meeting with their high school and their family to talk about how do we align those accommodations to their time with us at West-MEC. So we're supporting not only their success in the program, but when they get onto that industry certification, because the accommodations are different, and then out in the work world, and the schools are talking about how positive that experience is, and those liaisons are a huge piece of that. And they attend all of the IEP and 504 meetings on behalf of the staff and give that great feedback of the amazing students that we have. And then also a big piece is making sure we're helping them know how to apply for accommodations when they go for their credentials. Because that third party for whichever credential we're talking about, we have many, they get to decide what the accommodations are. And so helping our students know how to request accommodations, support that process. And many times our ESS liaisons are proctoring the accommodated test that might be extended time or have to read the test to them. So they're just amazing with that. And we really collaborate with our professional development teams and our CNI coaches and our counselors to really make a difference for our students and our staff every day.
Thank you, Shelley.
Better?
Yes, I think so. I wait all year to do this and then I get a cold this week, right? You know, Esperanto was just up here earlier and the work that we partner with strategic partnerships comes from this early college pathway. So you can see right here, the number of programs in dual, concurrent, articulated. Esperanto gave some of this good percentages earlier today. About 65% of our completers are enrolled in post-secondary. This is just a fun slide that I brought out last year and just had to add to it that every year, you know, Jared just mentioned that Denise Saldamondo did win for the ACTE Counselor of the Year. So we just keep adding to that. This is a big state. Lots of people put in for their counselors. We have found the secret sauce on how to nominate a student, and it shows right here. So just excited to continue to show you the people from the districts that are winning.
Cool.
We have counselor liaisons, really who that is Shelley and Spranta, not Shelley, April and I. Spranta used to be a counselor liaison. She moved to a different area. And we work with our member district counselors. We talk to you about how important they are all the time. And so we do these counselor grants that the board and leadership has given up to $45,000 for us to give to those counselors as they fulfill the grant. And the things that they do inside of there, that they're attending industry tours, that they're doing presentations for students. We're talking a little bit about the future and making sure that they're gonna meet with students and help them do a career interest inventory. So we really are trying to teach these member district counselors. We really feel like we are their professional development. They come to West-MEC for that. They get many, many hours of that, and it's made a huge difference because they're the ones that are in front of those kids, right? And so they send them to West-MEC. The counselor events that we do, I mean, we've done like 68 of them throughout the year. So there are many opportunities for member district counselors, charter counselors, homeschool counselors, and private school counselors to come to our presentations. And that is led by April Tyrell. April also leads our recruitment and the outreach. We have 3 recruiters. One of our recruiters left this year. We just hired a new young gal. She's just doing an outstanding job. But between open houses, virtual visits, all of the things that they're doing, they go out. They have hundreds of little 8th graders getting off the bus at a time, going out onto our campuses. So we're getting them early in 7th and 8th grade, and then we're bringing them up into freshman and sophomore year. Another area for our grant is to really start talking to counselors about West-MEC in their freshman year. So this year I had a counselor at Goodyear High School. Goodyear High School just opened. They only had freshmen. One of their counselors and their academy coaches wanted to be in the grant. So I said, that's great. We knew they can't apply to us yet, but those freshmen at Goodyear High School, they know more about West-MEC than probably any other freshman class around because that's all they had to work with. And I can't wait to see what their numbers are next year at Goodyear High School. And it kind of said, hey, we really need to make sure that we're gonna start putting a program together just for freshmen so that they know what they need to do in order to apply their sophomore year. So we're excited about that. I'm gonna end with application data because I know that has been some of the questions. So we just put a 2-year look to this. So you can see our total apps for 26-27, and that number changes every day, right? If I probably did it today, Karina would tell me today that there's probably maybe 5,752. So we're just every day more kids apply, but we're at 5,687. So that's the apps that are in the system. Then it turns into completed approved, which means the student gave it to their counselor sent it to us, and we start processing it. Then it turns into priority allocated applications because we only have so many spots, right, to give. So we allocated those about 2,100, and currently enrolled applications, we're at 1,996. That's the work that's going on the campuses. And we still have wait list and late apps, and you can see that number is 1,700 plus.
Those are only new students starting next year. This doesn't count for the second year students coming back.
Right.
Are there any programs that are heavily?
That's the magic that happens after this, is they start looking at second and third options and opportunities for students, and that's what happens between now and the 10th day of enrollment.
And here's some more of this information. So you can see the application demographics where we're getting it. Member districts have sent us 4,700, charter online, private schools 806, and then our homeschool. So you can really see that our recruiters are really meeting the needs all throughout the valley. And then you can see the percentage here of what's filled at each of our campus. So to be at 81% filled in May is really good. More and more students are applying every day. It's amazing when a student will get a seat and then for some reason they don't take the seat, or they take the seat and then they untake the seat. For many reasons, maybe they needed a job, maybe they moved, maybe they got a boyfriend, I don't know. There are lots of reasons it may change, but we always have students in the background waiting, so we always tell kids that are on a wait list to have hope. Because that moves, and if it doesn't move in the area that they want, there's another area that's part of that same pathway. That's why we have clusters. If they're interested in healthcare and they didn't get into MA, well, maybe they'll get into EMT. And that will make a difference to them as well.
Can you talk a little bit about the student action plans to remind the board of
Sure.
how great that's going?
Sure, so when kids are applying, that number that's in the application, some of those students don't meet the requirements. And so, and they don't meet those requirements, and the counselors on the campuses see that. They either maybe got a D in English, or their rubric score wasn't high enough. We found out this year that 450 students were on a student success action plan. It doesn't mean you can't get in, it means not yet. So they take that next semester and they try to improve their attendance, they try to improve their discipline, they maybe retake class. And so now what we've done is we've written a letter to every one of those students, and they know that if they've done what they said they were gonna do on that action plan, kind of like a little contract, right? They can contact our counselors at our campuses. They might not get the program that they first applied for because it might be full. But if there is openings, and we have our high opportunity programs, you guys have seen those, right? That's what you're seeing right here in open seats. Those are programs where there are still openings. So those students that have been sitting on a student success action plan, if they have done what they needed to do, they can call our campuses and we can work through seeing if they can get into one of these programs.
Just as a reminder, before we started the student action plans, if the student submitted an application, they didn't qualify, it was automatically disqualified, they were never seen again. So we decided to come up with this 3 years ago to say, yeah, there might be a couple of things that they can do, and if students want to put forth the effort and say, listen, I want to make this difference, we thought we should give them an opportunity.
don't let
They
them
hold the
fall through the
application.
cracks.
Yeah, they hold the application until we get to this point in time of the year, and they go back and say, did you do what you said you were gonna do? Put yourself in position to be eligible to come to West-MEC.
So is that part of the early like freshman year, or is that like the year that they can actually go to a CTE?
It's the actual, they apply for it, and then when we get their information back, like their transcript and their rubric and everything that's happened, then we know.
Is there a way, when we, maybe not today, but in the future, for us to try to catch these students before that date happens so they can walk in qualified rather than going through a process? Like if you did
Well,
it in
that's what-
freshman year.
yeah, what a great question. So, right, like we're talking about, so freshmen now, we're gonna say to eighth graders and freshmen, they're gonna say, well, what can I do to get in West-MEC? And we're gonna say, here's what the rubric looks like. I've been working with Chris Cook. I can't wait to put it together, that there's gonna be an actual flyer that's gonna say, this is what helps you get into West-MEC. So when you say, well, why does it what, I can be late.
Right.
My freshman year, I can, not come to school, or I can, not pass my classes. Well, that GPA, when you start out with a low GPA your freshman year, it's pretty hard to get it to a nicer spot in the second semester of your sophomore year. So yes, thank you for that. We are looking, and we've done it all along. It's not like this is our first look at it, but now we're really trying to make a difference to help some kids really understand what it means to get into West-MEC and what they need to do to make that happen.
Right, there's strategic advantages for everyone. The student, there's their city district, West-MEC, everyone involved.
That's good.
What percentage of those students complete that plan, successfully complete it?
Well, I can tell you after this year, like we can keep track of the kids that came in on a student success action plan can get in. So if we're 81% filled, that means we only have 20% more to get in. So that would be the top number that would happen. But that doesn't mean that there aren't new applications that are coming in all the time.
What do we need to do with them all?
Well, so we have our campuses opening, right? Because, so,
With all the programs that are still open at 16, as I look at those programs, those are all extremely viable. Not that any of them on the field side are not viable, but they're all viable.
Yeah.
But those are up and coming, advanced manufacturing, coding, artificial intelligence, robotics. Are
and that's
we
where the
doing
counselors come
anything
in. They're really talking to them.
pushing that out
Yep,
and talking it up? And
pushed out every day.
I think a lot of times the students don't quite understand what is involved in that particular career field.
I'm gonna divert. I'm gonna ask April to come up for a second. And April, can you maybe talk about your town hall and how we address that? April Tyrell is our recruitment manager and counselor liaison.
Good evening, thank you. Thank you, Chairman Ramirez. So something that new that we've done this year, the recruitment team, we've developed a virtual town hall. And what that is we have run reports of students who are on a wait list, students who didn't complete applications, students who didn't put a second or third choice down when they applied. And we directly reached out the first town hall, we reached out to member district counselors. We asked them to advertise out to their students, all students. We had 125 that registered for the first town hall. About half of those, 65, showed up virtually. And we got to promote the high opportunity programs. So that's specifically what we were looking at. We took campus by campus, what those high opportunity programs were, and highlighted those. It was successful. So about 2 weeks later, last week, we reached out specifically to waitlist students who had not put a second or third choice on their application. And we were able to reach out to about 35 more students. And we ran a report this afternoon, excuse me. We've had 11 enrollments with those two town halls. So I know that that number sounds kind of tiny, but this was a first effort. This is the first time we've done this year. So we're excited about it. We've already got another list of applicants in the system that didn't complete their applications. We're gonna reach out to them next.
It's a small number, but it makes a difference to those 11.
Yeah.
It's how you find them a little bit, and it's usually the right student then, you know, like that's important to us. It's important to our teachers and our administrators that we find the right students to put in the classrooms. Because they have to have a passion, you know, it's hard when you just say, oh, you didn't get this, I wanna go into that because I just wanna be at West-MEC. We have to make sure that that's really gonna be a good fit. I mean, we do have withdrawals during the year, and we're working on a withdrawal team to find out a little bit more about why they're withdrawing. Was it that they came in at the end and it really wasn't what they wanted, but they just wanted to be at West-MEC and then that didn't work out for them? So we're trying to look at all of that. And
Great thing is we have this, we have further outreach. So after the town halls, we had people follow back up with us. We walked them through the process. We answered questions. Kevin Ramirez, one of our recruiters, is able to help with any questions that come in Spanish that require translation. So we've got that base covered. It's just kind of lit this fire under us as a recruitment team to look for other ways to reach out. Students that didn't complete their application, they're kind of dead in the water unless somebody reaches back out to them that alerts them that there are still seats available in these high opportunity programs. So thank you very much.
Thank you. I was gonna comment, some of these programs that still have open seats look to be more technically demanding. At least that's what it appears like to me. Do you think maybe some students are intimidated by those programs?
you know, there's, yes, right? Or they don't see themselves in that yet, you know, they see themselves, you know, they understand cosmetology, they understand culinary arts. You know, so sometimes it's a little harder when they don't understand some of it, but you know, we've added more programs, so. You know, and then our member districts, like you heard, are offering automation and robotics, and we have automation and robotics. So kids have, if they don't have transportation, they now can have it on their home campus. So, and again, satellite programs are our bread and butter as well. So we're happy when satellites are doing what they're doing too. That's why our charter numbers and our private school numbers and our homeschool numbers are going up. So there's just a lot of reasons, and we looked at these open seats. Karina, you can tell me if I'm right or wrong. It's five or less.
Yeah.
Okay, so it's not like there's not a lot of kids in those programs. There's just some open seats.
Okay. And how do we advertise these programs to the students? How do we present them to them? Do we have videos or?
Yes, on our website. I'd love to spend time showing you how detailed they can get on that website.
So you can see, and if it's something that I can't see myself, but then once you watch a video or talk to someone, Now it becomes more.
There's like 3D, you can walk in and you can walk in through the rooms and everything. Yeah, just pick a program and start clicking through and you'll get pretty deep into how you can actually see what it looks like.
Do our member districts have something like that too?
Have that kind of
Yeah.
website? I don't know the answer to that. I mean, maybe some do, some don't, but they don't have Chris Cook, we do.
Yeah.
If you follow us on social media, you'll know the high opportunity programs are coming out
Yeah.
religiously.
So just to close off my little AI experiment with Dr. Spurgeon, as West-MEC continues to expand the Student Services Department's ability to innovate and adapt will remain the primary factor in regional influence. The 25-26 school year stands as a definitive record of how integrated student services can transform career and technical education into a powerful engine for social mobility and economic resilience. The members of the Student Services team not only fill seats, they have empowered a generation of emerging professionals to become empowered learners and global competitors, fulfilling the district's mission to prepare students today for tomorrow's career.
Up next, legislative and business partnership update, Ms. Megan Mills.
Chairman Ramirez, governing board members, Dr. Spurgeon, and our West-MEC community. I've shared with you a document that outlines a few different bills that are currently alive in the legislative process. As a reminder, there's over 2,100 bills that were introduced in the session, and a live real-time update can be found at the website provided at the top of the page. There are a few themes in this document. There are three different things. One is governance, where you'll see that there's an effort to place governing board term limits. There's also a recommendation through one of the bills for required governing board training. There's some changes that are being proposed for another bill that are related to the way our meetings and our budgets are made public. There's also information in another bill related to posting construction and capital projects that are large scale more transparently. There's some records compliance, and then there's some information about proposed changes regarding absent exemptions. Those are all related to governance. Another theme you'll see throughout this is related to curriculum development. One of the things that you'll want to take a closer look at is HB 2591. That's on page 2. As our team in strategic partnerships begins to look at developing apprentice programs more thoroughly, there may be some legislative changes related to that. So you'll want to take a look at that specific House bill, and that's 2591. Then there will possibly be a seal of proficiency for computer science, as well as a component to require AI instruction that could possibly affect West-MEC, the way we deliver our curriculum. And then the third theme that you'll see throughout is a safety related theme. Safety is always top of mind for our community as it comes to our schools. And so you'll see a couple different initiatives in this legislation related to making our schools safer. Whether that's developing a bill that has ties between our school district and our law enforcement in the event of an emergency, or whether that's having a centralized safety department that helps coordinate and be the liaison between the different districts and state entities. That's a proposed legislative item on this as well. So lots to study and read, but those are the ones that may be more relevant to West-MEC than the other items. Be happy to answer any questions you might have regarding this.
So Megan, I got one. Are you familiar with the rules by Octave that have been coming down from the Department of Labor? So Octave is the legal side of Perkins policy of CT programs throughout the country. And they have I'll send you some notices that they put out about CTE programs nationally. It looks like labor is really trying to nationalize credentials. And there's an appetite for it, a CTO they call it. And it's gonna be like a platform of some sort that's gonna be similar to what they do with DOL's apprenticeship program. Where students are gonna graduate on a national scale with their credentials, and I don't know how it's gonna work, but I don't know, have you seen any of that stuff?
Because we don't take any perkins money, so we're probably not even signed up to get
Well,
those.
state policy is gonna follow that. And how they roll out the programs and everything else is gonna, there is gonna be an impact of some sort. It'll be something you'll probably have to talk about, later, but I would watch the federal level of what they're talking about CTE, because that's gonna come down fairly soon.
With your exposure to the Labor Department, it might be an opportunity to influence how that goes.
Well, if you remember, when we have the Department of Labor folks here, it would be nice to systematize what's happening across the states, because the requirements and in anything that you apply for is so different across the states. There's not one seamless operation or opportunity. It'd be nice if you could systematize that at the national level, so it would just be transferable from state to state to state. Big issue you face oftentimes, you may achieve credits, and then colleges and other opportunities, they might not even accept those things. Missouri changed that to what's called 44 or whatever, so they have to accept those credits moving into. So it'd be nice if we could come across, make everything a lot easier.
Certifications that go across all state lines.
Yes, and one of the other key points they brought up with CTEs as well is that transparency beyond graduation, they call it. So basically, when you graduate, and I talk about this every once in a while, when you graduate from high school, before that, you're a student of CTE. After that, you're an adult. And so to navigate that adult space, that young adult space, they want to make sure that, because Perkins is going to combine with WIOLA at some point, that how these programs kind of align directly to community college, university, or to workforce services. Great art. I'll say it to you. I don't want to bore everybody out there. Yeah, it's a big conversation.
The thing I wanted to piggyback on is a comment Dr. Spurgeon made in his report earlier, mentioning that we have had a large volume of tour requests. We talked earlier this year about actually setting a goal for this fall, where we'd like to actually visit with our legislators and people down at the Capitol more often. We think getting in front of them and developing that relationship prior to us having any items that come up legislatively is really key. And as CTE continues to be a really big conversation, we want to be at the table during those conversations, continuously being relevant and in their mind when these are happening. So together, we're going to be down at the Capitol and also inviting those elected officials to come and see our campuses, because we know there's real power when they see our students, see our programs, see our spaces. So we want to keep showing how we're the exemplars when it comes to career and secondary education.
Yeah, I think they would like that too. They will open that opportunity.
Plus, when you're going for a bond, I don't have to call them up and argue with them.
Anything else? No, thank you. Revision to policies pursuant to the trust model policy recommendations. First reading, Ms. Mays.
Wrong slide. They don't have a slide for equal. Are we with classes? So no.
Good evening, Chairman Ramirez, members of the governing board, Dr. Spurgeon. The policy that we are that we have before you for review is policy number 4302 regarding sick leave for our employees. The two main areas that we are asking for your approval on, or the update to this policy, is as a result of the AG's audit that we did several months ago. One of the things that they found is that in the policy, it wasn't specific enough in terms of when employees were eligible to apply for a buyback of their sick leave. So what they asked us to do was clarify that. So in the policy, it says, for example, 0 to 4 years. So what does that mean? If you're in your 4th year, at the beginning of the 4th year, that you're eligible for a payout? Or does that mean you have to complete the 4th year in order to be eligible for the payout? So those are the types of clarifications that we are asking to make in the policy, so that we indicate the change by months instead of by years. So you'll see that You'll see that in two different areas of the policy, and it is marked in red. The second recommendation we are asking you as a governing board to review, as West-MEC continues to grow, we're gonna get more retirees. And so our retirees have lots of questions when they're ready to retire. They're thinking about, obviously, their income. They're thinking about their insurance. They're thinking about their leave payouts. They're thinking about phased retirement. So as we're counseling these employees, one of the things that we thought would be very helpful to them, because this has come up in these conversations, is what do I do with my sick leave if I'm planning to come back to West-MEC after I go through phased retirement? So in a couple of board meetings ago, you all approved the ESI, which is our phased retirement company that we work with. So if an employee retires from West-MEC, they can go through ESI, stay under the radar, do their 365 days, or come back a little bit early, and then they can collect their pension and still be working for West-MEC. They're just paid through ESI. So when they are in phased retirement, what we are asking the governing board to consider is, again, what can that retiree do with their sick leave? So some of our retirees, this would be an advantage to. Group number one, for example, would be a retiree who has retired from West-MEC, been here for 15 years. They have lots of time on the books. They know that they're coming back to West-MEC. So after phased retirement, so they may say, well, I'd like to leave a little bit of that time on the books, because when I come back, I have to start at ground zero. So I'll have no sick leave. And so if something happens to me, my family, my kids, my spouse, my parents, I have no sick leave available to me. So since I had so much before I retired, now I'd like to have, I don't know, maybe a couple of weeks, maybe 100 hours, but at least I'd have something in a bank that I would have access to. So if something happens, I can put in those sick days. Now, the beauty of this plan is that it doesn't cost any additional money to us as West-MEC. So if I'm the retiree, if I want to get a payout, well, I'm eligible for a payout. I'll do that before I retire. If I decide that I want to bank some of that time, then that time that is banked, it never gets paid out. So that's how there's no additional cost to us. So it's just access to additional days for that retiree. So when they come back, they have some days available. So that's one group of employees that might benefit, or retirees that might benefit. The second group of employees that might benefit would be a retiree who was not eligible for a sick leave payout because they came to West-MEC, but they didn't do a full 4 years to be eligible. So if they have time on the books, what they're gonna be thinking about is, well, do I wanna take that time? You know, I'm gonna dump my sick bank because I know I'm not gonna get paid for it. So at least this gives them an option to say, I like to come to work every day. I don't wanna take a whole bunch of time off because, you know, I'm needed at my job. So, but I don't wanna lose that benefit either. So this would give that employee or that retiree an opportunity to bank some of that time as well. So those were the two classes of employees that we thought about when we created this policy. So I worked with the business office, worked with Ryan, I worked with the payroll office, worked with the HR team. We really put a lot of thought into how is this gonna work? How is this gonna be fair? Is it, of course, Ryan was thinking about the money. So he was like, well, is it gonna cost us any additional money? But we're always looking at ways to support our employees, particularly our retirees. So those are the two areas that we are asking you to consider.
I have a question. I'm just wondering if the way we phrased it, you know, upon termination, if we reworded that, instead of termination, just say, upon.
Separation or something.
We could say
Yeah.
separation.
It almost makes it sound like, you know, when if they're terminated, then and that's not the case at all.
Separation of employment.
That's a great suggestion.
The other thing I want to make mention is if, let's say they were to save 80 hours and go into ESI and spend the year, they come back to West-MEC and those 80 hours are banked, they could never turn that back in if they come back to West-MEC for any additional payout. It's just hours they roll forward for sick leave and that's it. So you either take your payment up front or you lose it.
How long will we hang on to that? Before it goes away? Like if an employee never comes back, how would
1 year, they don't come back after the
They
second
have to
first
come
year it's
back
gone.
within a year.
That's
So,
reasonable.
question, are other school districts doing that? My concern is, it sounds strange to me, the concept sounds strange to me. In the fact that, private industry, like you leave somewhere, you come back, you start from zero. Does statute allow for that, for us to bank hours in expectation for someone to come
We
back?
can, yes, we can do whatever the governing board desires.
But that's allowed by state law. That's,
But your owners, keep in mind that even though they're on ESI, they're still working at West-MEC, so they never leave the physical place. So they're still an employee, they're just being paid by ESI.
okay.
And the state and federal government, it's.
You can do that?
You can do that also.
Nice.
Chairman Ramirez, I had a similar question. Kathy brought this to me, and so I had to call it to our auditors, and they said this was allowable as well.
Okay.
As long as the board approved it.
Okay.
And the other thing is that this time doesn't stack. So in other words, if an employee clears out their bank and they come back to West-MEC, remember they started ground zero, right? So it's not like they could say, well, I was here 10 years before, so now I'm eligible to cash out again. No, that time is never, you can't use that toward credit to get you to sick leave payout eligibility when you come back. Now, if you stay here another 48 months, and now you're eligible again, now you're under the new plan, the new rules, but you can't bring that time and stack it either. So we really tried to contain it as much as possible.
It's kind of like a safety net where you have some opportunities, because you start over fresh, there's no days. So if something happened catastrophic, and you got sick and you had to be out a couple of weeks, you just lose all your money. You lose all your days of pay the days that you're out. So we just tried to provide a safety net, and we think it's a great benefit for those that we would like to have to come back after ESI.
Cool.
So I have a question.
Let us comment real quick about the termination. Are terminated employees allowed to sell their sick leave back if they qualify based on timelines?
This is just for phased retirees, because the assumption is that they're coming back.
Right.
And so it's almost like no break in service, but technically it is a break in service.
So
Frank.
I have a question. So you say it won't cost anything, but if the employee is here 4 years after they come back and they've had raises, we would actually be bumping that would be sick time out with additional raises, wouldn't we?
Yes, obviously.
So
they
then,
would be-
so we're creating a liability. So what is the liability we're creating? Because we would have to carry that on the books as a liability, wouldn't we? For potential of them to come back, and if they stay 4 more years, then all of a sudden we have this additional liability.
So Member Straka, I also had that conversation with our audit team. I think, as you know, we complete a document every year that goes into our annual financial report called a compensated absences report, and it's basically what the district's liability is for the benefits of sick leave, vacation time, and personal leave that we allow for our employees to take. I think, if I'm understanding your question correctly, when they designate how much time they'd like to leave on the books, we would document that in the business department and then allow them to retain that amount when they come back as an employee of the district. That money is no longer eligible to be paid out based on any of our other policies. They can only use that as sick leave time. I think maybe to your point, you're saying that they would use that time as sick leave and then accrue additional time outside of that. Is that?
Well, what I heard Ms. May say is that if they served another 4 years, they would be eligible to do the buyout again.
But not with that money.
Only that
Okay.
do accrue
And
days.
then what and so I just look at this as there's probably some unintended consequences. They're looking to come back and they have a family emergency that would be an FMLA event. How do we handle that? They didn't come back for the 12 months, but they had FMLA protected by law. This is compensation. And what I would be worried about is there's events of other things that we'd be responsible to address.
They wouldn't be eligible
They
for the
wouldn't be
bank
eligible.
because they'd be an employee of ESI, not an employee of West-MEC.
Correct.
But they were scheduled to come back. They had an ESI event or a FMLA event. They didn't come back for 12 weeks because of the FMLA. The year has passed. We're responsible to hold that position open.
But when they come back, keep in mind, Board Member Straka, they come back with a new hire date. So when they come back, they have to have worked at least 12 months or work 1,250 hours before they're eligible for FMLA at that point.
Mr. Straka, I understand what you're saying. Them getting rehired back at West-MEC after ESI is not a guarantee. The district has to rehire them back. So it's not if you go out on ESI, we're gonna bring you back in a year. No, that still has to go through the governing board for approval to become a West-MEC employee again.
But I don't think you heard my question, or I'm not explaining it right. They're scheduled to come back. They have an FMLA event. They now can't come back, and they're going to say, I'm going to lose the sick time because I didn't come back. Would we have any liability or exposure to that?
Your question is if we held a theoretical 80 hours on the books for them and then they don't end up coming back the way they planned, do we have to pay that 80 hours out to them?
If they would have had an FMLA event.
So for
They have
example,
nobody to file with at that point because they're no longer employed by us. And or at that point ESI. They're out. I don't see how we.
When they're on ESI, they wouldn't be eligible for
Right.
FMLA. Because they wouldn't, typically you're only on ESI for a year. They're usually back either before that year is out or at the point of when, so they wouldn't even be eligible for that.
for 12 weeks, we wouldn't hire them back as an employee until after the 12 weeks they came off of FMLA, so they wouldn't technically even be an employee to be able to access those hours until the West-MEC board approved that hire. But I understand.
And then what I'm saying is, because of the medical event, we hire them back after the year they've lost that sick time.
Probably a legal question. I don't know.
I hate to create a policy that's going to create some legal questions. I would defer to Mr. Ramirez, our resident attorney.
Sounds like we got to research this a little bit more. Yes. Okay.
Thank you. Yeah, because FMLA, entering that into the conversation is because it really depends on if you're eligible for FMLA, when you're ready to take it. Because keep in mind, the district could say, no, if you're not eligible for FMLA, we could say no. We could say, I'm sorry, we don't approve your leave of absence, your position's too critical or for whatever reason. So there's no guarantee if you're here less than a year that you have that protection. So that's, the time may not even be an issue. It might be an issue of whether or not we'll even allow you to be away from your job.
Very few people.
Very
Just
few.
maybe a handful of folks. There's just how many folks are back on ESI? 4 or 5?
Probably, if that.
Oh, this is a first reading, so it'll come back.
Yes.
And if
Mull it over, think about it.
Yeah.
Please call me if you have questions or additional concerns. I'd be happy to go
okay,
through it.
okay. Thank you.
It might be good if Frank just wrote down his question and sent it in. And then between now and the next reading, take it to legal and find out.
Absolutely.
Change the wording from termination to separation of employment. Yeah.
Yes.
We'll move on to the next item. District Employee Climate Survey Update. Ms. Kathy Mintz.
Um. Okay, so we have completed the district climate survey. The design team, if you go to the next slide, I'm just gonna walk you through the process. Board member Garcia, myself and Joel Wakefield were the design team for the questions that appeared on the survey. Joel did some research. He looked at several climate surveys, and these are some of his resources here: Forbes, Gallup, SHRM, various samples. We had a very good response rate. We had 70% of our employees that participated, and the breakdown is up there: 66% hourly, exempt, and so forth. We held the survey open for approximately 16 days back in January, from the 8th to the 23rd, so we could give employees enough time to give us their feedback. So if you go to the next slide, please. Okay, great. So these are the questions that appeared on the survey. And Joel did a great job of creating what we call a heat map, because it gives us a good visual as to some of those areas that we as the administrative team will probably want to concentrate on. So if you'll look on this map in front of you, most.
So the top score is 5?
It's a 5.
Okay, the low score is a 0, correct? Okay.
That is correct. Thank you.
Read that one.
This one looks like Chinese.
You know what?
Oh, yeah, it's a little distorted.
So as you can see, the areas that are in green gave or provided the highest areas of satisfaction from our employees. These are the questions that are over here on the left. I won't go through every single question, but with the guidance of Mr. Garcia and Joel and I, we tried to get to those questions that we thought were most important to give us the best feedback for actionable items that we can take into consideration as we do our planning for next year. So just as a highlight, obviously the green is good, but if you look toward the bottom of the heat map, some of the areas that we are definitely going to look at, and we have talked about it a little bit as the cabinet, are areas like, for example, career and advancement opportunities that are available to me. Well, one of the things that we had a conversation with Dr. Spurgeon about is, well, here at West-MEC, a lot of our employees are industry professionals. So a lot of our advancement opportunities require a degree. They may require a certain level of educational experience. So that does create some limitations of where our employees can move. So I don't think necessarily it's because there's not opportunity here at West-MEC, but we do have some limitations because of who we are.
Well, 2 things real quick. Number 1, so for example, if a welding teacher has a 2-year degree and has 18 years of experience, in order to take my job, you'd have to have a superintendent's certificate and a bachelor's degree at educational attainment. But I couldn't go to the welding class and teach welding either. So we have 2 separate systems that operate simultaneously in the same space. That's one thing you have to keep into consideration. But the other thing that I talked to Chairman Ramirez about, and we're going to use some of this data, hopefully to come up maybe with at least 1, if not 2 superintendent goals for next year. And one of the things that I talked to Chairman Ramirez about is, there could be opportunities and positions that exist now that have some educational requirements that we could take a look at, substitute that for industry experience. Now, keep in mind that we're also a very small organization. We've only been in existence since 2002, 2003. So we're not 15,000 students and 2,000 employees. So there's only so many spots available for people to move up.
Yeah.
So I think we're going to at least explore that a little bit more. So for an example, there could be a career coach or an instructional coach, as someone with the 15 years of experience in welding would be a great instructional coach to be able to utilize with our business and industry. So Kathy and I are going to talk a little bit more about that. There might be a few positions that we could take a look at to maybe swap out some educational requirements versus some business and industry experience. So those are the kind of things that we're going to be taking a look at in ways in which we can, make the organization better. And then that's, I believe there's the pay fairly and the career advancement opportunities. I think it's just kind of the system itself.
So we do have education benefits as part of our benefits package, right? So they can like tuition assistance or.
It's a professional growth program. It's roughly about $1,600 a year that employees can apply.
Okay, and so I know that the degree for teachers, there's a time frame you can have, as long as you're identified in the course where you can complete your degree for that requirement, right? So you can apply to be a teacher for a certain amount of time, and then you have some to finish your degree.
And we do offer that training. We were approved by the AD, or the Professional Development Department was approved by the ADE to offer that training, so our employees don't have to pay to
Right.
go to a university.
So if we can incorporate that and it's in a message way to for the instructors that are willing to be teachers, and we definitely want teachers in Arizona, and that's we're short on that on a lot of levels. That is career development, and I think that's a big one. Maybe it's something we could look at.
One of the things that came back is before I got here, the district was smaller where everybody could get together kind of in the back to school and folks really liked that. And I moved to more individualized buildings for back to school because it's really more personal, but the folks still would like to get back together at least. Right now, after this year, we won't have space because the next building can only hold 250 people, so we think we can have chairs in there. So we're gonna do that this coming year and bring everybody back together again to introduce new employees, have a work group like folks sitting together, and they really enjoy that. So that's one thing we know for sure we're gonna take a look at from the survey. And there's gonna be some other things as well.
Would they be amenable to doing it both ways? Because I think there's merit to doing individual campus get-togethers, because there's unique issues for each of the campuses that don't necessarily apply to all of them. I mean, I think it's a good thing to get everybody together anyway, but I think doing both might be a.
So I'm planning on doing an all back to school with everyone at the first year, but I'm gonna keep my individual, because I meet with them at the end of the semester, at the beginning of second semester, so I bring first semester results and updates and opportunities, so I'm still gonna keep the individual ones like that. But we're getting large enough now until our new event center for the Southeast campus opens, this may be hard pressed to find a place to take all of us.
As Robert, I was just thinking that this career advancement issue is not dissimilar to what the services encounter. You got the enlisted grades and the warrant officers and the commissioned officers. And so, you know, you're only gonna rise to a sergeant major, but you can be the senior sergeant major advisor to the superintendent that has a higher level position who oversees
Kind of like
things in their purview. I mean,
that's not a bad idea.
you know, looking at that, and the same thing with, on the technical side. Somebody that oversees all those technicals, the AI, the IT, the robotics, the coding, that has that kind of a background, that becomes the senior technical advisor to the superintendent in this domain. And then, you know, somebody else in the medical fields, and, you know.
I think that's a great idea.
Something to consider.
So we're gonna take a look at that, and there may only be just 2 or 3 places or whatever, we're gonna take a look
Yeah, I
at
mean,
it.
there's a lot of free options. I mean, we can build it in. We're smart enough. We can figure it out. I'd like to hit. Oh, good, Frank.
Yeah, I was just gonna add, you know, it comes back to we're a small organization and we have very low turnover. So there's not a lot of opportunities to move up. The other thing other small organizations do look at, and we have a network of other organizations, is, hey, we've developed you. There's, you know, Dr. Spurgeon isn't going to retire for 20 years, but there's these other opportunities in member districts. We have the best staff, and sometimes you have to allow people to expand and grow by leaving the organization.
Well, Chairman Ramirez, if I may just one comment real quick. The other thing I want to make mention here, it says that my skills and abilities are being utilized affecting my current roles and the professional development piece. We have a full 5-year teacher induction academy that the folks go through, but what happens after 5 years? Well, our folks are telling us they want more industry relevant experience. And so I've talked to Ms. Mills. We're going to be looking at ways in order to be able to accomplish that. And maybe in the month of June, maybe we have a day or two where they actually go into industry and do those externships to be able to do that. So there's things that we picked up from this. We're going to be able to become a better organization because of it.
Yeah, no, that, I appreciate that. Yeah, so, and the other thing I wanted to hit on was that last one. Adequate transparency for leadership and decisions and information. So what's going on there? What?
It's because we're in a period of growth. There's just a lot happening.
Okay.
And oftentimes, I mean, like for an example, some individuals just like to know information for the sake of knowing information. If they don't know it, then they don't like it.
Right.
So, but because we're in a growth pattern, like if we weren't growing at all right now, you just come to work every day, do your thing, doesn't matter, not much is happening, but when things are happening and all the pieces and parts are moving, doesn't necessarily mean it's a negative thing. It just means some people just like to know more than other people want to know.
Well, because we're not gonna stop growing. And I think that if you think about some of the schools that have expanded, I mean, now they're contracting, but originally at some point in time, they were expanding. There's a lot of practices of communication. I think we can probably absorb a little bit. Or of a large corporation with many sites, the CEOs have a way of communicating with all their staff and make sure everyone's employee engaged. Employee engagement's the word they use.
Right. And keep in mind, well, some of the things that we found out was that folks like, wanted to know what new programs are coming into the new campuses, because there are folks that may live in the northern half of Phoenix with the campus coming up there. They want to kind of be the first to know because they may want to apply for that position. So those, sometimes there's information that's out there, but sometimes there's some of the information they may not be aware.
Yeah, and they get it, they
just
oh,
have
I
to
want
do
that job.
Yeah, we just have to do better, because I mean, like Mr. Johnson for the Southeast campus, I mean, he's assembled a tremendous team over there for the Southeast campus, and many of those folks, if not all of them, came from inside the Eternal, because we have excellence across the system, and it's nice to keep the excellence inside of that system.
Can we get some of the raw data on this? I'd like to digest some of that as well.
What additional data would you like?
Well, you said, see me, we'll walk through.
Okay.
Yeah. Is this last one about the transparency? Are those like questions about just in general? Are they all over the place? Or are they focused on a certain issue?
If I can remember correctly from the comments that I saw, it was more like, when cabinet level decisions are made, is there information that came directly from cabinet as it filters down through the site leaders and then maybe some of the other leaders that are on campus. I think that the issue was they would like to see more directly from cabinet
No, okay.
and what's going on.
Okay.
That was what was in the comments.
Quick question, Ms. Mays.
Yes.
Could this be broken down by department and shared with department leaders if there's at least, say, 6 or 8 surveys? What I'm thinking is maybe there's some specific areas that leaders could focus on and identify their opportunity areas.
That's a great question, Board Member Straka, but we were pretty intentional about keeping it as general as possible in this particular survey, because we didn't want employees to feel like that their responses could be tracked to them. So we just asked for their classification to hopefully get more.
Well, what I find interesting is that across the board, hourly exempt directors and campus administrators all had a similar score in that transparency area. I mean, all within 3, roughly a half a point. From the top end to the lower end.
This is getting that global communication going.
Yeah.
But that's also a perception. I just think back to, as an example, the last 3 bond elections we've had. We've passed it just barely over 50% up to 51%. Regardless of, Dr. Spurgeon spent a lot of time on this last one and barely moved the needle. I just think there's some things that, people are just never going to be happy with transparency.
Well, Frank, let me correct you. 1% on passing 2 bonds in 1 year is not a little thing. So let me correct you on that. No one's done that. You can check your records. So it's a rarity that we were able to do that. So there was a lot of work and it paid off. Whether it was a creep across the finish line or a dot, it don't matter.
Yeah, well, and that's my point. It's unfortunate. It's like we put a lot of, Dr. Spurgeon put his heart and soul into it. And I would have expected a much higher number.
Well, do one.
Mr. Garcia, just want to let you know, this will be beneficial. There's a couple things that will, and this is one of the comprehensive ones we'll do probably whenever we rewrite the district plan, because we still give the yearly one every year. So that'll always be something that's coming out, but every, 4 or 5 years or so, we'll give them more comprehensive one to get more feedback.
I think it's great. I think it's an improvement tool. Let's use it.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Yeah, especially if you develop an action plan to bring those up. You know, even if it's by fractions of a point, that's still growth.
Yes, just one more
One more slide.
These were just the main things. Oh, I'm clicking. Oh, there it is. That we felt came out of the survey was strong mission alignment, belief in purpose, meaning and values, and career advancement as evidenced by the score.
Yeah.
We've already kind of discussed that.
Thank you for doing that. That is beautiful.
And so.
Joe's not there. Yeah.
Thank you, Joel.
Thanks.
Well done. Good job, Joe.
Thanks. Thank you.
Thanks, SB.
Okay. Moving on to action item G, motion to approve consent agenda items. Do I have a motion?
So move.
Okay. No, a second. Okay, any discussion? To pull any items?
I want to pull, I want to pull H5.
H5, okay. State travel, okay. All right. We update the. We have a motion to approve the consent agenda item except for H5. You still second that?
Yeah.
Okay. Call a question. It's like I gotta minimize the screen then.
System.
Yeah. How do I? Everyone vote?
Oh. Nope, I forgot to press.
Hey, yes, I thought maybe he gets more words.
Sorry, I'm gonna just take that out of there. So to run down.
And that was to pull H5 out of there, right?
Correct. We missing anyone?
I'm just trying to get it so that it's down to the,
Oh, okay.
I just needed to move it down to an action discussion.
Sherry, could you put me down as a yes? My screen just is spinning.
Okay, motion carries. Alright. We'll move on to the discussion, right, of the agenda item. Let's see. Maximus.
Doesn't, their system doesn't do what Word docs did, so we'll wait for them to fix it. Do we want to start with the first items before we do the travel?
Or whatever's on the list, whichever where we put it, so.
It went down below everybody else. So Ms. Rivers, if you can start the action discussion and then the draft will be down at the bottom.
Okay.
I can move it up.
Oh, okay.
You move it up?
Yeah, if you can move it up, let's do that one now. That's in the action discussion, correct? scroll down. You have to refresh my screen to see it, or? I'll just go back up to it. Okay, H5. Overnight state travel. You have some questions on that, Linda?
I do, I talked to a lot of people, teachers and administrators and stuff like that, not only from West-MEC, but from other school districts and stuff like that. And one of the things that I get, some of the feedback that I get back is that there's really not a whole lot of new content in all of these conferences that we keep going to. From year to year, and though I noticed that the ones that I've been to, they were pretty much the same from year to year. And so I'm wondering, with, the ACT that we're sending people to, what new content is it that is gonna be taught there? And if we don't know, shouldn't we be asking before we pay for it?
I don't see content. I don't know that we know the answer to that question until the brochure typically comes out, which could be or 2 months before. I don't know on how you know unless we ask.
No way we can find out.
I could ask.
Didn't we talk last year about when employee goes to a conference that we would get feedback in writing from?
Yeah, it comes through the board letter.
I don't remember seeing that.
That's in the boards.
Was it one?
Yeah, there you get sharing it as a all right.
Was that Thursday or Friday?
Yeah.
And then also we have our new development director. He's gonna be presenting as a skilled professional. And yet he's going to the same conference to learn. So that is an oxymoron.
I think that's more of a future agenda item. This is more of
Well,
whether
now
we
you
want to
have
approve.
something else. It's a question I
Yeah.
would like to.
This is for overnight travel.
Yes.
Mr. Ramirez, could I just add 2 cents?
Yes.
Just as an example of having gone to a conference. Remember, I went to the conference in December. I was talking with someone on my way to the stadium tour, and that's when the signing day thing came up. And so as a result of that conference, we now have signing day. So I think that's where we get the value. So I would encourage us to approve these travel items because, yeah, we don't know what we're going to get out of it, but aren't we glad that we got signing day? What other cool things could we possibly get?
Yeah, aside from the materials, so you're saying aside from the materials, just the conversations and the relationships that
The
you,
exchange with other professionals in the education domain.
the back and forth.
Well, it's one of the only platforms where all the schools and all the administrators and everyone that impacts CTE statewide, sometimes nationally, all gets to convene at one spot, at one place. And you won't get that it's impossible to get it anywhere else. So they make a great effort to get all the players to one area. You're supposed to be skilled enough to network, present and take information of best practices. West-MEC leads the way, so it's kind of hard when you're at the top to get topper. I don't know what the word is. So, I mean, it's kind of hard, but there's nuggets like Frank just said, I think that's a great example. And my example was a robot. When I saw that robot, I came to Scott, you gotta get this, and he made it happen. So ideas, you don't know where they trickle in, but if you're paying attention and you're engaged when you show up and you go as many events as your brain can allow, you'll get something. And I think that's the intent of the investment, return on investment of the travel.
That's what I was gonna say. It all depends on the individual and how engaged you are.
I think we do tons.
And a lot of times it's not only what you're getting, it's what you're giving.
Yeah, that too. Your presence means a lot.
With when you're talking to somebody else and they ask you, well, what do you do? Or how do you guys do this at your district or in your school, say, well, we do it this way, this is how we solve that problem, you know, and so that's a benefit that we can't tie a dollar figure to.
Yeah.
But it's a benefit to the overall education system, I think, if we're able to. If by attending these conferences, we were able to duplicate West-MEC throughout the country.
Yeah, they're visiting. You saw that list. That's,
I mean,
doesn't
that's,
show up on the front, door. That's
yeah, I
work.
mean, you got international CTE people that are interested in coming in.
Yeah,
and
deal
talk
well
to us.
done here. I mean,
So one of the things that is just a great testament to our great work is ACTE, the National Missions Conference, gives us an automatic 4 presentations. We don't even have to ask anymore. Because they want us at the conferences, because we are one of the leaders in the country.
And I understand that, we do get recognition and stuff like that, but, yeah.
You want to be paid for us to do that.
I know, I really do. No, at least that they should offer, some kind of compensation for us doing that. Or, no tuition or whatever it is that we have to pay. Something, is compensation to us. So we're not forking out all this money. We are over, but we will be over budget with this. We have so much allotted, and it will go over budget. And I think that I've suggested, recommendations of bringing people here to our campus, to, start training, people and stuff like that. And there has been no traction on it at all. And I think that maybe we limit, there are some conferences, yes, you really have to go to, and I understand that. And I'm not saying no to everything, but we need to limit, it shouldn't just be carte blanche that we're gonna go to every single conference that there is.
We don't. I mean, I go out of state maybe twice, 3 times a year, maybe. I don't. I only go where I need to be. I think everybody else is in the same boat that we're in right now, and I'm very limiting on the number of folks that we send out to national conferences. They'll tell you, in the audience, they'll tell you. I'm not like a lot of people that will just send groups of 15 or 20 people out to places. No, we go for a reason. That's why we're there. So we don't.
I did see that at the conference that I went to. There were some school districts that had 10, 15 people at that conference, and I was the only one from West-MEC.
Yeah, we just don't do that.
I would just, and following up on Ms. Bosom's point, when I worked in industry, it was common if you presented, even if you presented as a team, you got 1 registration free, but everybody else who came for the presentation still had to pay. So if we get 4 presentations, I would expect we'd get 4 comped registrations, but we still have airfare, hotel, and meals. I would ask for that. That's an industry standard.
With our membership at ACTE, we actually get, and I don't know the answer to this question, but we do get some conferences or some credits that we actually use towards some additional conferences.
So maybe just articulate that to the board.
Yeah. Okay, that's a good point. Good point.
I call for the question. I think we've discussed it enough, Mr. Chairman.
We made a motion. Do I have a second? Second. Call the question.
Mr. Straka, yes or no?
I'm Frank.
He's gone.
Sorry, yes, I'm a yes. My screen is still doing the same flashing.
Okay, motion carries. We are in action discussion, right? Approval of the 2025-2026 expenditure budget, Mr. Brian French.
Thank you, Chairman Ramirez, members of the governing board. I don't have an additional presentation as we did it during the public hearing. I did want to let the board know that the 12 pages of the budget is attached to your item if you want to review. So what we're asking this evening is for the board to approve the revision to the 25-26 expenditure budget. And I'd like to read directly out of 15-905. Asking the board to authorize the expenditure of monies for any subsection within the M&O fund in excess of amount specified in the adopted budget if the expenditure for all subsections do not exceed the total budget limit expenditures on page 1. So that's directly out of statute. I just wanted to put that into the record.
Okay. I'll make a motion to approve the 2025-2026 expenditure budget revision number 1. Do I have a second? Linda seconds. Any discussion? Hearing none, let's call the question.
Still on travel.
Mine hasn't refreshed. It still has the the last voting results.
Mine's the same way.
Oh, there we go.
Mr. Straka, did you refresh or is it still just spinning?
I finally got in, but it said there was no current meeting. I had to go to past meetings to get to the current meeting.
What did you?
You guys, it's
Yeah, yes.
We're still here.
Are you a yes? Are you a yes on the budget?
yes.
Yes. Good.
Okay.
All right, motion carries. Thank you. Okay, action discussion item number 2, consideration for approval of a guaranteed maximum price for the West-MEC Southeast Phase 2 presenter Chase.
Me.
All right.
Chairman Ramirez, members of the board, Superintendent Spurgeon, we're here to talk about Southeast Campus again. So we are super excited, and I have to brag a little bit because this is kind of a big week because we will most likely be getting our temporary certificate of occupancy on that campus for the first building. So that means we can move in.
Nice.
So we're super excited about that. Tonight, we're going to be asking for educating you a little bit on GMP1 for phase 2. So we want to just keep a seamless operation going here. Chase and DLR team have been super efficient on this project. We want to maintain that efficiency and just keep on rocking and rolling. So we're going to have them run through a presentation for you so you can see what the next steps are. And looking at that picture, I can't believe that was 15 months ago. We're out there with those golden shovels. That's moved quick. So we're going to keep on moving quickly, and I'm going to turn it over to Chase and DLR to talk to you about it and show you some slides and things like that.
That's all right.
So whatever you want to do the video, just use the mouse.
Okay, thanks, man.
Thanks.
So I met with a DLR group, so I'm really happy where we are right now with the design. As you mentioned, about a year and a half ago, it was just a green field, and you haven't noticed there's a big orange building up right now and everybody's talking about it along the 101. So it's really incredible to see everything come to life and all the opportunities that's going to bring for students in the future. I'm just going to walk through kind of where we are right now with design. So obviously phase 1 is, just about ready to open up here in July. So mostly complete right now. The area I'm going to kind of focus more on is actually phase 2. So you can see the master plan there. It's that orange shape right there. It's actually addition on to phase 1 for most of the square footage. And then there's an additional building that will have culinary hospitality and supply chain management. All in all, so phase 1, we're opening 6 programs. Phase 2 is going to add another 10 programs. And then phase 3 in the future is going to be another 6 programs again. So that is a lot of program, potential there. So, and, quite a robust list. I'm not going to read all the program.
I think one cool thing we're working on, so back here on the back side of phase 2, will be supply chain logistics. And so when the new facilities department comes in right back here, we're gonna build that program into our own facilities department with automation, robotics, supply chain logistics, those kinds of things. So it's gonna be a cool part where our kids will actually be getting some experience in our facilities department through those supply chain logistics program.
Nice.
Yeah, the proximity of those programs was definitely something we planned early on, knowing that there's gonna be a district warehouse there, so might as well take advantage of it, make it a pathway, let students learn from it. All right, and then I'm gonna just kind of walk through some renderings. So I actually have a fly through that I'm really excited to share, but I'm gonna show you a couple renderings here, just kind of preview what you're gonna see in the fly through. So this view right here starts on the 101. So as you can see that's the
Sunset's on
campus.
the wrong side. Oh, there must be a sunrise.
Well, that would probably, yeah, that's probably in here, so. Yeah. And so what you're seeing there is the full build out. So you're also seeing phase 3 included. So the event center piece would be that orange piece right behind the West-MEC sign there. Then of course the canopy in phase 1 is right in the center of the campus there. Here's a rendering as you're kind of flying into the campus. Everybody's well aware of the canopy, the amazing job that, you know, Chase and the team did erecting that canopy, flying that right in there. But you can kind of see how that phase 1 then fits within the context. So phase 2 would be right to the left of that canopy. So that's where a majority of the health science pathways is going to go into in phase 2, and then the event center on the far left.
The trades are on the backside.
The trades on the backside. And so this is a view standing in the entry. So you're seeing mostly phase 1, but the darker mass building there is part of phase 2. So again, that's where the health sciences piece would go. Just kind of wanted to show this view to kind of put it in perspective. You know, how, you know, our beautiful canopy is still going to be the main entry feature that students.
Just wanted to show some pretty pictures.
People can enjoy.
Amazing.
And we've, you know, knowing that this was going to be a phased construction, we want to make the experience for students seamless as they're walking through the buildings. So what we're showing here is actually inside phase 1, but through that portal opening is looking right into phase 2. So between the phases as they're walking, you won't be able to tell the difference. Technically speaking, there will be a firewall there, but it'll be up most of the time, and you know, you'll just be able to walk between. And then, you know, as you're walking into phase 2 now, we really want to highlight all of the amazing programs. So building construction trades would be right there on the corner through all those windows. So lots of transparency looking in to the learning spaces, you know, highlighting the programs, putting them on display, building interest for students coming to this facility. You know, I keep thinking if I was a student going here and I had nothing even close to this when I was going to school, you know, what would excite me to come and learn, you know, about all these opportunities. And even, you know, being an industry partner too, walking in here, you know, why wouldn't you want to be part of this? Because who else in the country has something like this, right? And then, okay, so all the trades would be on the right side there. And then up on the left side is where all the health science pathways are. So nursing, medical assist, physical therapy, just to name a few. Now, on the back side of that stair, we have a feature here that we're calling the grab and go. So this is an opportunity for some vending for students to grab a quick bite, to really make it an attractive place to be on campus, and a place to hang out, to have conversations, not just with students, but maybe faculty, other industry partner, people visiting the building. Really the home or the kitchen is where the heart is of the home. So that was the thinking here.
And so keep in mind that our students don't get breakfast or lunch, so that they typically bring stuff to eat during the day. This will also be a place when career pathways do their fundraising. They can saw this area plus our culinary arts program, which will be new. We'll also be able to utilize this area. But my whole philosophy was I want something like the airport to have a grab and go where kids when they're on breaks, they can go out, they can grab something, go back to class.
And then the learning spaces themselves, just highlighting physical therapy here, but as I mentioned, you can see the transparency, you know, not only from inside the lab looking out, but you know, looking in if you're standing on the outside. And then the natural daylight and all the wonderful clear stories that we've got facing north, letting the light in. So no matter where you are in the building, you've always got a view to the outside. And you know, we're talking, you know, world-class CTE spaces here in terms of equipment and technology. And then, rendering, showing the students very, professional type environment. Yeah. And then I wanted to show this because some of the outdoor spaces in the yards, so on the north side of the building, similar to how we did the welding with the canopy coming out and having, that wonderful outdoor welding area. On that trades piece in phase 2, similar concept, even more space, for perhaps some of the construction trades to be out there working on projects. We also have energy and water as additional pathways, so they can use that outdoor space as well. So more of a continuation of that idea. And then we did include a QR code, so this will link you right to the fly-through. So without further ado, I'm gonna just go right into the fly-through, unless anybody had any questions about the views you saw. Okay. There we go. I didn't even have to click the mouse. Okay, so we're starting here kind of more in a, early morning scene. But we're flying over the parking.
This thing it's going.
Yeah, you can just see the scale of the campus. People are like, wow, the canopy's big, but when you put it in the full context of the build out, I think everything is gonna proportionally play together really well. Yeah. Yeah. But the way that canopy provides the shade, I mean, that whole entire area all the way up to your drop off will be a shaded area. I could imagine large groups of tours out there taking pictures, students hanging out before in class. We've got one secure entry for the whole campus. That was one of the really big features we focused on. So kind of flying through as if you were touring this building for the first time. So that was the secure area there. We're in phase 1, so advanced manufacturing is right to the right there. And now we're flying through that portal that I was talking about. We're going right into phase 2. And so construction trades is on the right. Health science is on the left.
We're planning to do a ribbon cutting and a groundbreaking on July 21st, both at the same time, so we don't have to come out twice, because it's on July. It's gonna be good.
Physical therapy there, right in the left. So that one rendering I showed, that was that space right there.
Lab science.
Medical lab right there. And then now this is really exciting. So this is where we fly out and you can see the event center beyond, but we have another canopy now that's connecting the event center. And then this building that has culinary back to the main campus.
This will be our first one, Central Campus Culinary Arts College.
Yeah. So we've got an external component in the culinary program planned as well. So there could be a window, you could use that space for events, for pre-function for the event center. Now we're flying back into the building on the first floor. You can see that grab and go, how that really ties into everything in the building. It becomes the heart of the building. I think it's gonna be a really amazing space for students. Great. And then this is the heart of the commons, still in phase 2, flying back to phase 1. And then we just wanted to show off the advanced manufacturing space with the partnership with the TMC. So we're showing a clean room in there.
And you're gonna see the best view in Phoenix. You're gonna be looking right at the Estrella Mountains.
Right, and then we end on the Estrella Mountains, flying right under the canopy. So I hope you guys are as excited as I am about phase 2,
How
especially.
many acres does that all cover? That we're building? Was it?
31.
Yeah, we're about 80,000 square feet in phase 2. Overall, the whole thing, including phase 3 and phase 1, is 250,000.
Tim, how many acres? 31.3, 31.3, something like that?
All right, Tim, you're up. Thank you. Any questions, by the way?
I got one. So on that, in terms of security, did we decide on how we're going to do, to make sure that no one that's not authorized to be there doesn't show up there or any?
Matt, you wanna answer that?
Yeah, I mean, so.
Not Matt.
Oh, the other Matt.
He's asking about security around the southeast campus.
Yeah. Physical security, what do you do with that?
Well, one thing we're focusing on, so as we've designed different campuses, learned from some of the small mistakes we've made, we're trying to create a funnel Small mistakes.
Yeah, okay.
Try to create a funnel for student, staff, and keep a separation between delivery areas and things like that. But really try to keep the public focused in one area and keep buildings, use the buildings as a perimeter. Small fences in between the buildings where they're not connected, but really keep that public and student area in the south parking lot. Funneling everybody into one single space, one entry point. And of course, other than transition times, doors will be locked. People won't be able to just walk in any door, but there won't be that many doors that are accessible to the public. That's the whole point. So to try to eliminate that point of access.
So an example, go back to the first screen that shows the full campus.
The water
Just
access.
come over here, Matt, I want you to go back to the full campus. So I think we'll back one forward one more. The other way.
Next.
One more.
Next.
So for example, where you see buildings or buildings, like this will be fenced, but there'll also be fencing here where you can't get into the actual learning space itself. You'll have one way in, and there might be gates in here because you're gonna have a fence here where you have to let people in. But we're usually buildings, as Matt said, has that physical barrier, and then where the spaces are open is where you'll see fence that'll be locked in where you won't be able to access the physical campus without being let in, without a key. Thank you for that. Did I describe that?
Yeah, nailed it.
So good evening, Chairman Ramirez, board members, Superintendent Spurgeon. My name is Tim Goyette. I'm with Chase Building Team. This is my colleague Connor Lewis. We're here to present the GMP. This is GMP 1 for phase 2, and what this represents is an early procurement GMP and also a mobilization GMP. And the idea behind this is to really hit the ground running, take advantage of buying things early, mitigating escalation, and just really hitting the ground this summer. And one of the cusp of getting the moving is to get the dirt work, the really heavy equipment started on site this summer, have that all complete before we open up the school for the fall semester.
Well, you don't have big tractors running in and out when kids are in campuses. And keep in mind, I think we've actually set the precedent for early procurement and early GMPs to be able to get you guys off, because the quicker we get it done, the less costly it is to us. So you'll see another one, the second half of this, that'll come in, it'll be more expensive than this, but this is for us to be able to get what Tim said, get this project moved, which means we're planning on moving dirt Monday. We get approved tonight. We're not playing. We're gonna move dirt. If we get approved tonight, we're.
Good to me.
Yeah.
Yeah, the equipment moves in on Monday. We actually have really proud to say we have an intern we hired last year starting the following Monday on this campus. So it's really cool to see that come full circle.
Former West-MEC?
Yes.
Okay, awesome.
So do you guys have any questions?
Material testing and special inspections. What material are you testing?
So material testing is, so when we do the earthwork, we take it up in lifts.
Okay.
We do compaction testing.
Okay.
And also, you see steel or some of the other items, welding, all that kind of things. We do testing on all that as we go.
The interesting thing, Mr. Molina, thanks for asking that question. So, Tolleson has their project going here. All their dirt was bad. They took truckload after truckload after truckload. Because sometimes the dirt's just bad and you can't build on it. You got to bring all new dirt back in here. But I think our
Yeah, I
dirt's.
had no idea how big.
Oh my
and
gosh.
Actually, one of my grandchildren graduated from high school, and it was just a short story, but anyway, this woman was looking for help, and he went over and he's working for a company that does that. And he gets to walk. I mean, they're in his neighborhood. The business is in the backyard. He's 18 years old and they love him. They want to clone him, and he's doing that, going out and getting the dirt, getting the testing done. One of them, he had to stay up all night, like 24 hours and check it every hour or so. I don't take two.
Two things that surprised me coming to Arizona was number one, the dirt quality and how much dirt work has to be done for projects, and then water retention is just
Yeah,
outrageous.
it's
a different
really
thing.
intense.
So on these prices, with all the things that are going on nationally with the inflation and everything, is that impacting your prices?
Yeah. This GMP plans on that, but the cusp of the whole idea of getting going right now is really to mitigate that and start buying things now before they start to go, they actually are going up right now. Like at the end of the month, things are going up, so we're actually looking at procuring things right now. Trying to get ahead of it. Yeah. Okay.
Thank you. Great job, Tim.
So I go ahead and make a motion to approve. I make a motion to approve the GMP with Chase for the West-MEC Southeast Phase 2 and authorize superintendent to sign the contract and any other affiliated documents. Have a second.
Second.
Any additional discussion? Okay, hearing none, call the question. Yeah, I gotta exit out of the full screen. Okay, suspense. What is that?
Now for the board.
Okay, yes or no?
There we go, yes, motion carries.
For the board
All right.
members.
Thank you, good luck, yes, looking forward to it.
Good.
Thank you.
Just go to the cool campus all the time.
Okay. Item number 3. Consideration for approval of a GMP for the Northeast Campus renovation presenter. This is McCarthy.
Okay, Chairman Ramirez, members of the board, Superintendent Spurgeon, we'll switch gears to Northeast Campus here and we'll talk about GMP 2 and some of the improvements we're gonna do on the Building A, the main office area to start with. I believe we have Tyler Shoup from McCarthy with us, phoning in. Tyler, are you there?
Yep, I'm on. Can you hear me okay?
Yeah,
Good evening, everybody.
So we just, we're kind of going down the same path of this with what we just talked about with early procurement. Trying to get some materials ordered on time, so we can have them ready to go for the summer break, so we can get some of this construction done. What we're going to be working on is primarily the front office. So you'll see that we've created some security pieces here with the doors to the stairwell, well, the doors to the classrooms and labs. So anybody could have walked in there, walked upstairs, and they have. So we're mitigating that. We're gonna put some security film on the glass there for reception. The ballistic drywall, we're putting in a public restroom. So we're doing some design features here that have been much needed for a long time on this campus. Again, the intent is to start this project as soon as we're done with school, so we can work through that while students aren't there and create a little bit of a safer environment.
Hey, Matt, I gotta ask a question. I can't remember if it was Chairman Ramirez or Mr. Molina. We just talked about this last month, so what's the difference in what we did last month and what we're doing right now? So, Matt, you do that. Last month's GMP. That's not early procurement. We brought this last month for early procurement, I think.
Yeah.
This is the bill.
Yeah, and this is for the build. Yeah. Yeah, so then.
And I can help you out with that if you need.
Yeah, go ahead, Tyler.
Yeah, so similar to what Chase just presented, it was essentially a mobilization, get ready. We had to purchase some equipment to get it in time for when we start this this next month, and that's what was approved last month. We had to get some millwork drawn and produced so we can make the timeline on procurement to start construction, which is what you're going to see here this evening. It's the construction GMP for the summer work that we're going to be doing. So very similar to what Chase is doing, is preparing for the work. Let's get everything bought, and then mobilization for the work comes next, and then probably a final GMP here in the next couple months to final out the total cost for the project.
Thanks, Tyler.
So we'll move through a couple other slides to show you what else is encompassed in this project, which includes a refresh, if you will, of student commons. We're taking out some wall sections there to create some more space, removing some of the millwork, the cabinets to.
That's where the existing one is now.
It is same place. We're just making it a little larger and doing some flooring and paint upgrades and just creating some more usable space, getting rid of a lot of cabinets that weren't used in the past. So it'll just create a little bit better student environment.
And keep in mind, if you remember the Northeast campus, there's a significant number of students in both those two buildings. They only have one common space to come, and it's not close to being big enough. So we ripped everything out of there. We're gonna go back in. We expanded it by maybe Tyler, 200 square feet. And we gained space.
In the student commons?
Yes, sir.
I think it was a little bit more of that. I think it was like 350, 400 square feet.
Okay.
when you take into
That one up there.
consideration all the millwork.
Right now, there's this huge island in the middle of the room and there's just, you can't get very kids in there.
Yeah.
So we'll move on to this slide. I'll let Tyler take it from here just to talk about the GMP and what that entails. I will highlight, and here you'll see a number regarding some safety and security fire alarm piece. So what we're doing is when we started building E, which houses the advanced manufacturing and welding, we put a new style fire system in there. This is for all of our sprinkler alarm, fire alarm, security alarm, all that stuff. It's upgraded, it's the latest and greatest, but it doesn't talk to what's on the rest of the campus. So we're going to bring the rest of the campus up to speed with that system. So not only building A, but every building on the campus is going to be upgraded as part of this. So you'll see a little bit of an inflated price on that piece. That's why that looks that way.
Oh, good, thanks. Thank you.
Tyler, anything else to add on to that?
I don't think so. I think it's a great value for what's happening this summer, especially for the, the consideration of the safety of the students. Very intentional with doing that and being able to get it completed before the start of school is our focus. What you'll see next in the near future really will be the build out of the hangar space. We needed time to continue to design and develop that program there. But this work was essential and immediate need for safety of the students. So we broke it out for this value, and this is what we're asking for to move forward.
I need a motion. Anyone? Okay. Any additional discussion? Okay, hearing none, call the question.
Ms. Straka? You can put me down as a yes, please.
Okay, motion carries. Thank you,
Tyler.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Final agenda item is the future agenda items. Do I have any future agenda items?
I think exhausted those last.
Yes, we did. We had a long one last. Okay, all right, well, hearing none, motion to adjourn. So move. Right, second, third and fourth.
He likes to do that.
It's gotta be, it's
All day.
gotta be on the record. 3 hours for that.
The lawyer dying to be a judge, court adjourned.